Chapter 1106. With the god's stone tablet broken, the geniuses were released from the torment of the divine aura. Jian Xinsheng stared at Lin Chen's back in a daze and exclaimed from the bottom of her heart, "In this world, there is actually a mortal who dares to challenge the gods. He is only a combat emperor." At this moment, the young man's back was like a deep abyss, like a mountain that she would never be able to surpass in her life. Jian Qingsheng asked herself. Facing the will of the gods, she could not even muster up the will to resist. In front of the gods, she was too insignificant, not to mention walking under the divine aura like Lin Chun, even challenging the will of the gods. In the field of combat emperors, Jian Xinsheng had absolute confidence that she could become a number one, but today she was convinced. He dares to challenge the gods. He is truly the first combat emperor of all time. Jian Qingsheng murmured softly. With regards to her evaluation, even if the monster-level geniuses behind her were proud and arrogant, they could not refute it. They asked themselves, even if they were not even 1% of Lin Chun, he was worthy of this achievement. The pressure on Luo Yao, who was stuck to the god's stone tablet, suddenly disappeared and slowly fell down. Lin Chen reached out and hugged her. Luo Yao was in a trance in Lin Chen's arms. Without the opposition of the divine aura, the memories of the ancestors of the demon race slowly disappeared. She said in her sleep, "You saved me again." Lin Chun was bathed in blood. He squeezed out a smile. I just saved myself." Luo Yao asked, "Aren't you afraid that I will control you? So what if you want to control me? You may not succeed." Lin Chen smiled, his smile filled with an incomparably strong fighting spirit. "I've always believed that everything depends on one's effort. I firmly believe that my own life is in my own hands. Although you're beautiful, I only want information about entering the holy prison. I'm not interested in anything else." Luo Yao bit her lips. "Aren't you afraid of the gods?" Lin Chen shrugged. "I've never seen a real god. How would I know? It's just the so-called divine aura, that's all." Luo Yao's delicate body trembled. The so-called divine aura, that's all? He dared to kill a saint king as a battle emperor. He dared to challenge the might of the gods with the strength of a battle emperor. In this world, was there a second man with such courage? For the first time, Luo Yao smiled at Lin Chen. Her smile was as charming as a witch's, as pure as a fairy's, causing the world to lose its color. Lin Chen stared at her in a daze. "Idiot, God isn't that simple." After the divine stone tablet shattered, a golden treasure chest floated in the air. Lin Chun grabbed it with one hand. "Open set treasure chest. Obtained. One of the golden battle god set. Connected part of the vambrace. Right shoulder armor. Set type. Absolute strength. Ultimate attack. Ultimate destruction." The golden light condensed into a golden pauldron. The pauldron was curved like a cold moon, carved with exquisite red and gold stripes. There is also a part of the pauldron that was connected to the wrist guard. This time it's the right shoulder. The right arm of the Aries extension has been collected. Lin Chen's heart trembled. The strength amplification from the wrist guard was already heaven-defying. What if the pauldrons were added? It was hard to imagine. At this moment, the clear sky, Saint King's voice was filled with unconcealable excitement. "Perfect, this is too perfect. I never thought that there would be such a heaven-defying young man. You are the one who has perfectly inherited my legacy. Young man, what is your name?" Lin Chun was neither servile nor overbearing. He hugged the beautiful woman and said with a smile, "Saint King, I am Lin Chun. This name will definitely leave a deep impression on you." Lin Chun, good, very good. Even in front of this prince, he was able to remain calm and collected. "You are a moldable talent. After so many years, I have finally found someone to inherit my legacy. Everyone, please be patient. I will give you your rewards according to my discretion." The Saint King forced himself to calm down. Lin Chun sneered in his heart. "Looks like this guy can't wait. I have a way to break his formation. However, I need you to lure his main body out. He is going to attack us." At this moment, the heavily injured Luo Yao suddenly transmitted her voice to Lin Chun. Rumble. The mountain range shifted, and the earth's crust shifted. An altar slowly rose up. In the center of the altar was a saint monument with the words Clear Sky, Saint King engraved on it. It was the Saint King's tomb. The demonic seal in Lin Chen's palm throbbed slightly. He could feel the demonic aura from the tombstone. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows. The tombstone of the Saint King actually had a demonic aura reaction? Looks like this old man is just spouting nonsense. What protecting the human race and fighting against the demon race? Everything around him is related to the demon race. I'm afraid that the matter back then was not that simple. Lin Chen was filled with disdain. He was extremely disdainful of this Clear Sky Saint King. Creak! From the miasma in the sky, a huge bronze coffin fell straight onto the sacrificial altar of the tomb. Lin Chen suddenly realized that the bronze coffin was flowing with a strong elemental light. What a strong elemental light. This is a talent-type light. It must be at least an orange-rank talent or a fragment hidden inside. Lin Chen was excited, but he did not show it on his face. Geniuses of the human race, please walk in front of the tombstone and receive your rewards. Let's start with Lin Chen. The Clear Sky Saint King could not wait. Lin Chen walked up to the tombstone that was a few meters tall. He extended his hand and placed it on the tombstone. With a thought, he activated the devil's seal on his palm. The Clear Sky Saint King's voice was filled with doubt. The next moment, he lost his voice. Brat, what are you doing? CK your grandma, old man. You want to set a trap for me? Let's see who is the one tricking who today. Lin Chen laughed. All the geniuses were shocked, astonished, and bewildered. Was Lin Chen crazy again? Why was he scolding the Clear Sky Saint King? Lin Chen, you dare to insult the Clear Sky Saint King? The Clear Sky Saint King is a great ancestor of the human race. How dare you? Some of the geniuses who were trying to flatter Lin Chen immediately regained their senses and started to flatter him. Lin Chen ignored these noisy fellows. The demonic seal in his palm suddenly exploded with a strong suction force. Rumble. A cloud of black smoke exploded. Everyone's scalp went numb, and a chill went up their spines. This is demonic aura? Why is there demonic aura on the Clear Sky Saint King's tombstone? This is too ridiculous. Shouldn't the tombstone of an expert retain his last bit of consciousness? How could a proud existence like the Clear Sky Saint King allow demonic aura to invade his tombstone? The geniuses retreated in shock. The Clear Sky Saint King's aura was gone, and there was only demonic aura. It was ferocious and ruthless, and it filled the entire sky. Damn you, little bastard. How did you use demonic means? The Clear Sky Saint King roared angrily. A terrifying Clear Sky Saint King's aura suddenly exploded and suppressed Lin Chen. Puff, puff, puff. Most of the geniuses were forced to kneel down by the Clear Sky Saint King's aura. Only a few of them could barely remain standing. Lin Chen activated his cultivation technique. One of his eyes was red while the other was orange. He was not affected by the aura at all, and he even had a smile on his face. The rolling demonic aura was quickly absorbed into the demonic seal in Lin Chen's palm. Finally, the demonic aura in the tombstone was completely absorbed. Damn it, this kid is actually immune to my aura. The Clear Sky Saint King was flustered and exasperated. His voice was filled with hostility and killing intent. He no longer had the extraordinary aura that was used to enlighten people. Lin Chen's cultivation technique was not even afraid of the will of a god. Why would he be afraid of a Clear Sky Saint King? TSK, TSK, TSK. Clear Sky Saint King. If you were still alive, I would definitely give you the Best Actor award. Your acting is not bad. You're quite good at acting. What human orthodoxy? What bloody battle to defend the human race against the Clear Sky Saint King. You were really awesome. Lin Chen clicked his tongue and laughed. What he said next was shocking, and it made all the geniuses' hair stand on end. Do you think that no one knows that you broke the deal with the Clear Sky Saint King? Chapter 1107. Made a deal with the demon race. Lin Chen really didn't want to stop until he was shocked to death. throwing out a heavy bomb. What? Clear Sky's Saint King was like a fox whose tail had been stepped on. His voice became particularly sharp. You had made several deals with the demon race in the past. You coveted the demon race's bloodline talent and tried to possess the demon race's abilities. You studied the demon race's secret techniques several times and even assassinated the demon race's geniuses to transplant their bloodline into your own body. Although you succeeded in the end, you were seriously injured. After the demon race found out about your situation, they sent their strongest to fight with you. In the end, a shocking battle broke out at the junction of the three domains. Although you repelled the demon race, you were rejected by the two bloodlines, causing your body to gradually wither and become unable to move. Lin Chen's tone was very calm. But you have indeed mastered some of the demon race's lost techniques. The proof is that the saint beasts you have cultivated all have a deep-rooted demon chi. It's not that there are no saint beasts tainted with demon chi, but it's impossible for all of them to be tainted with vicious beast cores. Obviously, those saint beasts were cultivated by you. The ancient matrix in the miasma of the mountain range that can restrain saints is one of them. The ancient matrix that you painstakingly built can absorb the flesh and holy chi of saints to nourish your injured body. That's why you planned so many battles between saints. That's how you got the name Sacred Burial Mountain Range. Marshal Lin even sat in front of the tombstone and crossed his legs in front of the clear sky, Saint King's bronze coffin. He crossed his arms and smiled. With your title as the Saint King, it's not too much to choose a successor on the demon race list. Why did you choose the genius race list? Your goal is to cultivate us into your puppets and choose a suitable substitute for you to cultivate the demon race's secret techniques. When a human becomes a saint, their saint chi will naturally reject demon chi. This is not good for you to cultivate the demon race's secret techniques. Only after becoming a saint, after becoming a demon, can you realize your perfect substitute. Isn't that right, Lord Clear Sky Saint King? Do you want to be the overlord of both the human race and the demon race? Silence, a strange silence, descended upon the altar. After listening to Lin Chen's explanation, all the geniuses were terrified. If that was the case, then the Saint King's inheritance in the Sacred Burial Mountain Range was a complete conspiracy. Lin Chen, don't try to mislead people with your lies. Lord Clear Sky, Saint King has killed countless devil race members and has accumulated many merits. How can he be insulted by a junior like you? Some of the geniuses still didn't believe it, and suddenly berated Lin Chen. Lin Mao smiled but didn't say anything. He snapped his fingers, and the Jundak, Shui doppelganger, snatched the prodigy's storage ring. While the prodigy was in a suppressed state, the doppelganger easily erased his spiritual imprint, causing the prodigy's face to turn pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Jundak Shui took out a sacred pill from his storage ring, which was the spoils of war he had obtained when he passed the first stage. Jundak Shui tossed the sacred pill into the air. I've heard that the Devil Clan and the energy of light are the most incompatible, Lin Chun said with a smile. He activated his battle chi of light calamity and flicked his finger. A streak of white light shot towards the Saint Pill. TSK. Bang! The Saint Pill exploded, creating a monstrous energy storm. Gee! In the center of the storm, there was a strand of devil chi that was emitting a sharp cry. The prodigies were so scared that their teeth started to chatter. The Saint Pill contains demonic chi. Based on my experience, I'm afraid even a 4th-grade saint-level alchemist wouldn't be able to do that. This Saint Pill was taken from your storage ring. You should know that this is the reward given to you by the Lord Saint King you mentioned. Lin Chun smiled, and the prodigies instantly regained their senses. Cold sweat flowed down their backs. The prodigies trembled as they crawled towards the ancient bronze coffin and asked, Lord Clear Sky Saint King, could it be? The Clear Sky Saint King didn't care about these ants. After a dozen breaths, Kid, did that place send you here? The Clear Sky Saint King's voice was calm and cold. No, I'm not from that place. Lin Chen shook his head and smiled mockingly. The leader sent me here. Lin Shen naturally didn't know about something that happened so long ago. Everything about the clear sky Saint King was told to him by Luo Yao through the devil seal. The devil race's experts had mentioned before that there were humans who coveted their prodigies and had entered the human race's territory to fight with the human race's Saint King. According to Luo Yao Er's understanding, that battle was most likely caused by the clear sky Saint King. Luo Yao had even taught Lin Chun the method to break the sacred burial mountain's ancient formation. However, with Lin Chen's strength, even if he knew the location of the formation core and the method to break it, he wouldn't be able to break the formation. There was only one way to break the formation, and that was to force the clear sky Saint King's original body out. To put it simply, Lin Chun had to force the Saint King out of the coffin. When he took over the ancient formation, the flaw of the formation core would then appear. Luo Yao had told Lin Chun that his life was being maintained by the ancient formation using the saint's flesh and blood. He definitely couldn't personally deal with Lin Chun, unless he planned to perish together with Lin Chun and risk his life to enter the formation. If he wanted to attack Lin Chun, he could only use the Saint King's aura to suppress Lin Chun or personally control the ancient formation. Right now, his aura was useless against Lin Chun. His only choice was the latter. At that time, Lin Chun would have a chance to break the formation. Secondly, Lin Chun also wanted to force the Saint King out of the ancient bronze coffin. Little Shadow had an innate spatial perception ability. It clearly told Lin Chun that the coffin contained the Saint King's buried treasure. As long as the coffin was opened, Little Shadow would have a chance to fish in troubled waters. How could a mortal figure out the Saint King's background? As long as he stole one or two treasures, it would be hard for him not to get rich. The geniuses felt a chill run down their spines. Although the clear sky Saint King didn't admit it directly, anyone with eyes could see that he couldn't get away with it. Forget it. I will naturally know your origin. I didn't expect my plan to be disrupted by you. However, there's still that Jian Qingsheng. Since I can't suppress you with my aura, I can only kill you. Rumble. The earth quaked and the mountains shook. At the side of the mountain range, another 4 behemoths appeared. Heavenly barbarian elephant, giant heavenly python. There's also the primordial ink Qilin. The faces of the geniuses changed. These saint beasts' strength were comparable to second heaven true saints. These saint beasts are controlled by me personally. Lin Chun, they aren't something you can control. The clear sky's Saint King's roar shook the sky. His Saint King's aura increased by a notch. He wanted to break down Lin Chun's battle intent at all times. However, Lin Chun raised his eyebrows and laughed. Are saint beasts that strong? I'm not afraid of 37 saint beasts. Do you think I'm afraid of these 4? As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Chun raised his hand and snapped his fingers. Rumble. Icy mist filled the air, and Yin Qi surged like a tide. 2 balls of heavenly Yin ice corrosion enveloped the 4 saint beasts. Activated 2 high-grade blue rank sure kill technique. Heavenly Yin ice corrosion. For targets have been locked. What? The clear skies Saint King exclaimed in shock. This brat still had such a move up his sleeve? Crack, crack, crack. The terrifying baleful frost chi was like 10,000 feet of black ice, and it descended upon heaven and earth, freezing the 4 saint beasts in the vicinity. The clear skies Saint King wanted to order the 4 saint beasts to attack Lin Chun, but the Yin Qi had already invaded their bodies. They couldn't move even if they wanted to, and it was difficult for them to break free from the Yin Qi. Lin Chun sneered coldly. You're not embarrassed to call yourself a clear sky Saint King with such little tricks? I'll go next door and call a chicken. Even a chicken can play faster than you. The geniuses felt their hearts tremble. Lin Chun was actually going head-to-head with the Saint King of a generation by himself. Chapter 1108. TSK. A Sage King. Is that all you have? Trash. You're really trash. Clear skies, Sage King. Aren't you embarrassed? Lin Shun snickered and stepped on the Holy King's tombstone. Look at that bear of yours. What else can you do besides hiding inside and boasting about your military strategies on paper? Using your aura to scare people? Are you impotent or impotent? If you're impotent, come out of the green coffin. My Black Horse Club has 100 ways to help you regain your masculinity. What? You don't even want to come out? You don't want 100 ways? Don't, great Sage King. Seeing how handsome I am, I'll break your bones. If not, I'll give you a 30% discount. If not, I'll give you a full discount. F***CK, I gave you face, but you don't want it. If you have the guts, come out and fight me one-on-one. You don't even dare to touch me when I'm just a battle emperor. When I become a sage, I'll kill you with one slap. That's why Mr. Liu said it well. Coward, he's not worthy to be my opponent. When the geniuses heard Lin Chen's words, their scalps went numb and their hearts jumped. Crazy. This kid was really crazy. Sage King, the strongest king below the true god. Every one of them was a legend in the sacred boundary. Even the peak sages had to worship them. He was just a battle emperor, and he dared to look down on the Sage King? You're just an ordinary person. Trash, trash. You're just an aphid like trash in my eyes. How dare you look down on me? Rumble. When the Sage King's angry roar came, a Sage King aura that covered the sky exploded from the ancient bronze coffin. The Sage King's aura was mixed with the anger of suppressing the 8 wastelands. It shook the heaven and earth, and the space shook as if the entire tomb was about to collapse. Even the 4 sage beasts who were hit by the heavenly ice corrosion were affected. Even ordinary sages would find it hard to withstand the Sage King's aura. There were already geniuses who fainted from the Sage King's aura. Only 200 geniuses were still bitterly holding on. However, it was nothing to Lin Shun. No, to be precise, it was useless to the entire Black Horse Club. Following that, an even more ridiculous scene appeared. The Black Horse Club's Jundak Shuai, Shindi Chong, Shindi King, Shindi Q, and Shintoka Sho were all mobilized. Shintoka Sho and Jundak Shuai leaped onto the ancient bronze coffin. The two of them held a guqin in one hand and a drum in the other. The geniuses' jaws dropped. The geniuses who were still conscious witnessed an unforgettable scene. Bang, bang, clang. Shintoka Sho plucked the strings, and Jundak Shuai beat the drums. The joyous drumming was like a freaking wedding banquet, reverberating throughout the sky. Following that, Lin Shun and his 3 doppelgangers strode forward and stood in front of the Holy King's tombstone. Puffing out their chests, they pulled down their collars and unbuttoned their shirts, revealing their muscular chest muscles. Lin Shun chuckled. Since Your Excellency Sage King doesn't want to come out, the Black Horse Club is going to play a little disco dance for you. A coward. The Clear Sky Sage Kings was stunned. The geniuses were dumbfounded. What the F***CK was going on? Lin Shun and his 3 clones took a horse stance and stepped forward. Their lower body was extremely stable. Jundak Shuai's coquettish singing spread throughout the area. I want to fly to the sky. Go, 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 give my beloved shadow a few marshmallows. I want to stand on the surface of the sea, catch a big moon, hanging on my crotch, with the music playing and singing in front of them. The 4 coquettish people faced the Sage King's tombstone and reached for their crotches together. F***CK. Many of the geniuses were almost blinded. Jundak Shuai blinked and hummed a song while beating the wooden drum. If I want to be willful, I will be willful. If I want to sing and dance, I can sing and dance. Let's see what you can do to me. If I don't want to be lost, then I won't be lost. If I don't want to be lost, then I won't be lost. What else can make a person more arrogant than this? I want to stand on top of the mountain, listen to the wind sing, wait for the clouds to part, and the first ray of sunlight to shine on my handsome face. I want to wander alone, to wander far away. Even if the waves don't move, I won't panic at all. Lin Shun and his 3 doppelgangers raised their arms, their bodies tilted 45 degrees. The genius's jaws dropped so wide that an egg could fit inside. The members of the Black Horse Club were actually singing and dancing in front of the Clear Sky Sage King's grave. No, he called this disco. These guys are crazy. He's so coquettish. I'm going blind. I'm cracking. Jian Qingsheng, Yin Wuxia, and the rest of the monster-level geniuses all had their mouths twitching. This was the number one emperor of all time? From a certain point of view, he really was the number one emperor of all time. Who the hell dared to sing and dance in front of the Sage King's grave? And they even formed a team. If he was the number one emperor of all time, what kind of title should he have? Number one coquettish? Or the disco emperor? Luo Yao who was at the side, laughed. I told you to attract the main body out, not to anger him to death. The grave shook, and the space trembled violently. The clear sky Sage King's crazed voice shook the heavens and earth. Lin Shun, you're seeking death. Wah, you're pissing me off, Dai. You deserve to die. I'm going to throw you into eternal hell and make you suffer a fate worse than death. Anyone who blasphemes me must die. The furious Sage King's aura caused the geniuses' scalps to tingle. They felt dizzy and their bodies twitched. Some of them even started to foam at the mouth. However, the members of the Black Horse Club danced even more happily. With a flip of his hand, he hit the Sage King's grave again. The geniuses were about to go crazy. Oh my God, hurry up and make him stop. Don't let him go on like this. If he continued, everyone would be shocked into idiots by the Sage King's aura. Oh my God, oh my God. What sins did I commit in my past life? Why did I have to meet this group of weirdos? F***CK, their ancestors. I was wrong. I was really wrong. I shouldn't have entered the Sacred Burial Mountain Range in the first place. If I didn't enter the Sacred Burial Mountain Range, Junior Sister wouldn't have died. If Junior Sister didn't die, I might still be learning the Yin Yang Dao with Junior Sister in the small back mountain of the sect. Wah! Is there a savior? Hurry up and stop this group of bastards. Stop it. I can't take it anymore. Oh, so painful. My waist, my Qilin arm, my kidney, my little brother. The Sage King's aura is too terrifying. I can't take it anymore. What the hell did I do in my past life? Why did I have to meet this group of devils? I should have gone to a brothel to get massages and read books. Why did I come here for the Sage King's inheritance? Wah, kill me with one strike. My F***king shit is about to come out. Brother Machine, save me. Some of the geniuses had a mental breakdown. Some were filled with regret. And some were even wailing under the Sage King's aura. Someone Lin brushed his bangs aside and smiled slightly. Give up. In terms of flirting, you can't compare to me. The most flirtatious battle emperor in history. Chapter 1109. The Clear Sky Sage King was about to go mad with anger. A Sage King could crush multiple sages with a single finger. To an existence like the Clear Sky Saint King, the cultivation of the War Emperor was really like an ant. He was an ant that could destroy countless ants with a single breath. However, what was this ant doing now? Dancing on a grave? Singing and dancing in a coffin? It was like a small ant climbing on top of a dragon's head. Not only was he pooping on top of the dragon's head, he even wanted the dragon to pass him paper and wipe his ass. How was this bullying? He was practically using his life to humiliate the Clear Sky Sage King. If it was an ordinary sage, even if the Clear Sky Sage King was on the verge of death, he would have hundreds of ways to trample on the other party. However, this brat was a freak. The Clear Sky Sage King's aura was useless against him, and the saint beasts he had reared were also tied down by him. At this moment, the Clear Sky Sage King wished that he was a true saint. The Clear Sky Sage King was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. This king created the ancient array to automatically lock onto and attack sages. Not to mention a third heaven true saint. Even a fourth or fifth heaven true saint would die if they came here. However, this brat is a battle emperor. Furthermore, he is a freak who can ignore this king's aura. This is too humiliating. This king has never been humiliated like this. The Clear Sky Sage King had never dreamed that he would be humiliated to such an extent by a battle emperor. If a true saint dared to barge into this place, the ancient array would kill them. The Clear Sky Sage King did not even need to worry about it. The ancient array could kill any sages below the sixth heaven true saint realm. As long as a true saint did not appear, the saint beasts he had reared were more than enough to kill any battle emperor. In addition to his clear sky sage king's aura, killing a battle emperor was simply a matter of thought. Even if he was a genius, the clear sky sage king did not place a mortal like the battle emperor in his eyes. From the beginning to the end, he had not prepared many methods to deal with the battle emperor. Those saint beasts were merely products that he used to test out the devil race's secret techniques. In the end, they were only used to guard his tomb. His preparations were all to guard against true saints. However, he had met Lin Shun. This young man, that even God's aura could not suppress, was the nemesis of the clear sky sage king. He had suppressed him time and time and time again. Your goal is to force this king's true body out, right, Lin Shun? At this moment, the clear sky sage king's voice slowly echoed in the tomb. He had dominated the sacred boundary for countless eras. Lin Shun dared to bring his people and risk their lives to humiliate him here. The motive behind this must be to lure his main body out. This little bit of motive couldn't be hidden from an old and cunning existence like him. Fine, I'll do as you wish today. A piece of trash the size of a speck of dust, to be able to obtain the personal killing of a saint king. Your name is enough to go down in history. Rumble. Jundok Shuai and Shintoku Sho were sent flying. The ancient bronze coffin that had been silent for tens of thousands of years suddenly opened a crack. At the moment when Shintoku Sho was sent flying, it happened to touch the source of the flashing talent attribute light when the coffin was opened. Whoosh! The source turned into a ray of light and entered the palm of Shintoku Sho's doppelganger. The attribute light inside revealed its true form. It was a dazzling orange talent fragment with the word heaven and an orange talent fragment with the word supreme God flashing on it. The system screen popped up. Received orange grade one-time active talent. Heaven deities fragment, 2 halves. Extreme offensive talent. When dealing substantial damage to the enemy, the target can be killed instantly. Automatic integration has been completed. Please check the talent column. Received permanent orange grade passive talent. Supreme God's Possession fragment, 3/4. Supreme God's Possession can increase the power of orange grade skills. It was the Heaven Deities and Supreme God's Possession fragment. Lin Shen's heart trembled, and he held back his excitement. This was only the beginning of the main event. The Saint King had opened the coffin. Seeing that the ancient bronze coffin had opened a crack, the prodigies felt their scalps go numb. The clear sky sage king was going to personally appear to deal with Lin Shen. Lord Saint King, you really made me wait for a long time. Lin Shen's eyes were shining. He retreated far away from the ancient bronze coffin with his doppelgangers. A surge of battle intent rushed to his chest, and Lin Shen's blood boiled. Even his brain was heating up. All the runes in his body were gathering energy, and he was ready to use the strongest slow rune at any moment. This was the state of being close to the limit of one's life. Lin Shan was about to face a Saint King personally. What holy prison's fake god? What 4th or 5th heaven true saint? Compared to the Saint King, it was like comparing a firefly to the moon. This was a supreme existence above the 9th heaven true saint realm and 9th revolution true saints. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was the peak of the sacred boundary. An inch below Lin Shen's heart, there was a faint hexagonal light. That was the location of the first saint point. Under the state of being stimulated to the limit, Lin Shen could vaguely sense the existence of the first saint point. As long as he circulated his mental cultivation method and mobilized his battle chi to attack the hexagonal light, Lin Shen would most likely become a Saint King. However, this also meant that Lin Shen would be locked onto by the Sacred Burial Mountain Range's Saint Slaughtering Ancient Formation. This was the worst choice he could make. Lin Shen had to face him with the cultivation of a battle emperor. The hearts of the geniuses trembled, and their bodies trembled. This guy was the real monster. Even when facing the appearance of a Saint King, he could still produce battle intent. What was his brain made of? This was not something that could be described as reckless. The ancient bronze coffin slowly opened from top to bottom. An array of white light shone like the rising sun, illuminating the entire tomb. Boom! The lid of the coffin opened slightly, and a jade-like figure floated in the air, enveloped by the holy light. That person's face was like jade, and his eyebrows were like swords. He was elegant and refined, and his facial features were clear and flawless. His hair was light, and his long hair draped over his shoulders. He was wearing a green robe, and his figure was slender. From his appearance, he seemed to be a young man in his mid-20s. The geniuses were stunned. Who would have thought that this seemingly weak and delicate scholar was actually the immortal realm legend who dominated the sacred boundary, the Clear Sky Saint King? At this moment, the Clear Sky Saint King's eyes were tightly shut. If one looked closely, they would realize that his holy light aura was only on the surface. The fluctuation of holy chi in his body was extremely weak, and the holy light was burning brightly on the surface, but the inside was dim. Only Lin Chun and a few others could sense that there was a whirlpool of demonic chi in the Clear Sky Saint King's body. Demonic chi and holy chi coexisted. In addition, the Clear Sky Saint King's body was wrapped with countless heavy chains, and the chains were connected directly to the top of the tomb. Lin Chen's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He gathered his battle chi, and 9-colored starlight revolved in his palm. Damn it, the Saint King is right in front of me. If I don't blow up your 9 tribulation star, I'm afraid I'll lose 100 million. Just as Lin Chun was about to use his full strength to attack, Luo Yao immediately transmitted a message to Lin Chun. You can't attack. His body is connected to the protection of the ancient array. You won't be able to break through his defense. Instead, you'll trigger the array to target you. Lin Chun was stunned. Rumble. The moment the Saint King's body appeared, the Saint King's aura became even stronger. Many geniuses were sent flying, and there were only a few hundred geniuses left who were bitterly holding on. I can't attack him. Lin Chun circulated his heart sutra. His heart was like a boulder, and he wasn't affected at all. He squinted his eyes and said, "What a pity." Hearing Lin Chen's pity, many geniuses' mouths twitched and their hearts jumped. Damn it, these people from the Black Horse Club were really fearless. If the world knew what Lin Chen was thinking, they would be scared out of their wits. If a war emperor could see the Saint King once in his lifetime, he would probably kneel down and worship him. But this kid wanted to mess with the Saint King at first sight. The Clear Sky Saint King's body was dragged into the sky by the heavy chains. He passed through the layers of miasma and merged into the center of the 4 ancient arrays. Now, little guy, I'll leave it to you. Lin Chun released Little Dark Shadow. This time, Little Dark Shadow turned into a ray of light and shot into the ancient bronze coffin. Little Dark Shadow seemed to have used some kind of bloodline ability. Its aura was extremely weak, and it could only last for a moment. Even the Clear Sky Saint King didn't notice it. Almost in the blink of an eye, the lid of the ancient bronze coffin was closed and sealed tightly. Little Dark Shadow returned from the ancient coffin to Lin Chen's peach blossom plant pouch in 1,000th of a second. Lin Chen didn't even have time to see what Little Dark Shadow had stolen. He was fully focused on the Clear Sky Saint King in the sky. To be precise, the Clear Sky Saint King's body was already half a step into the gates of hell. Now, he was relying on the ancient arrays in the sky to hang on to his last breath. If Little Dark Shadow's body attacked personally, even a top-notch saint would be killed by him. Lin Chun would definitely die. However, he would definitely die. This was a method of exchanging a life for a life. Luo Yao transmitted her voice to Lin Chun. According to the seals I just taught you, use the demonic seal. When he enters the array, you'll be able to see the array core for a moment. That will be your only chance. As soon as she finished speaking, the Saint King's aura disappeared with a buzz. The pressure on all the geniuses was lifted, and those who had fainted started to regain their consciousness. However, what replaced it was an even more terrifying aura. For ancient arrays surged out from the miasmal layer and aimed at the direction of the tomb. Lin Chen's pupils trembled. He clearly saw that the four ancient formations were actually covered in dense talismans that were like dragons and snakes that were swimming about. There was either devilish chi that soared up or divine radiance that illuminated the ages. These four formations contained two completely different types of energy, and they were even existences that were linked together into a single entity. An extremely obscure ray of light flashed from the center of the four ancient arrays. I see it. That is the array core of the ancient arrays. In a flash, Lin Chen's hands formed seals. The demonic seal in his palms condensed into a purple light in his palms. Chapter 11:10. Rumble. A blood-colored dragon appeared in the center of the four ancient arrays. It was formed from the energy of the saints' flesh and blood. It was so powerful that it could suppress any living being present. Clear Sky Saint King, who was in the center of the array, suddenly opened his eyes. His pupils were filled with blood. He laughed sinisterly. Lin Chun, die for this king. You dare to blaspheme this Saint King's might. This king will pull out your tendons and skin you alive. F*CKU. The one who will die is you, old fox. I have been waiting for this moment. Lin Chun laughed maniacally. The demonic seal on his palm turned into a bolt of lightning. In a flash, it shot into the sky and entered the center of the array. It was located at the left side of Clear Sky Saint King's chain. What? Clear Sky Saint King's expression changed. Chi! Bang! An explosion occurred within the ancient array. The blood-colored dragon exploded. An earth-shattering sound echoed throughout the mountain range. The spatial layers of the tomb began to ripple. It fell into a chaotic state until the enchantment dissipated. Clear Sky Saint King's throat tasted sweet, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. His body was injured again. He was actually injured by a war emperor brat. What a great humiliation. You, how did you see through this king's blood demon burial sage array? This is impossible. Clear Sky Saint King asked angrily. His voice was trembling. Lin Chen did not care about this noisy fellow. His mouth was slightly open, and his expression was one of ecstasy. When the array was broken, Clear Sky Saint King actually dropped 5 attribute light balls after being injured. Attribute points dropped by Clear Sky Saint King? Damn, this is a peerless treasure. Snatch! Lin Chen did not say anything. He flapped his sacred phoenix wings and activated Dragon Flash at full speed. He actually rushed towards Clear Sky Saint King. Luo Yao was shocked. What is he trying to do? Lin Chen grabbed the 5 attribute light balls. They were orange, dark purple, bluish white, light green, and bluish gold respectively. Host has received 300,000 middle-grade Heaven's Path points, 990,000 high-grade spiritual power, 300,000 high-grade cultivation technique essence, 40 million strengthening points, and 50,000 set essence. Added a new attribute, set essence. It can be used to increase the attribute points when using an incomplete set. It can also be used to create the ultimate set. Boom! Lin Chen's spirit attribute transformed into a massive amount of mental energy that poured into his spiritual sea. He hurriedly recalled his doppelganger back into the peach blossom plant pouch, sharing the burden of refining this terrifying mental energy. These 5 attribute points made Lin Chen's heart tremble a few times. It was too terrifying. He, Lin Fan, had fought so hard all this while, but at most he had obtained around 20,000 mid-grade Heaven's Path points and less than 30,000 high-grade cultivation technique soul essences. A Saint King's drop would be at least a few 100,000. Needless to say, his spiritual power had surpassed the sum of all of Lin Chen's previous attributes by tens of times. The Great Formation has been broken. He can no longer maintain his spatial enchantment. We should go. Luo Yao transmitted her voice to Lin Chun. Lin Chun regained his senses. With a flash, he picked up Luo Yao and activated the super-dimensional teleportation. Before he left, he shouted at the geniuses, "If you don't want to become a puppet, leave this place on your own." Whoosh! Lin Shun turned into a beam of light, and with a flash of light, he and Luo Yao disappeared. Hearing that, Jian Qingsheng, Yin Wuxia, and the rest regained their senses. They used their skills and dashed out of the tomb. Although the Saint King's inheritance was good, they had to be alive to take it. The clear sky Saint King was obviously setting a trap for them. To these geniuses with powerful backgrounds, they had a bright future ahead of them. There was no need for them to become a puppet for the Saint King. Some geniuses chose to leave, while some chose to stay. For example, the mysterious young man who discovered Lin Shun from the start. He stood quietly and coldly in the tomb, without any intention of leaving. The one he brought away was that demonic tribe woman. Could it be that she was the reason why this kid could break my great formation? The clear sky Saint King was angry and suspicious at the same time. He was so angry that he laughed. "I don't care who you are today. If I want to kill you, you will definitely die." The clear sky Saint King stretched out his hand. Within the four great ancient formations in the void, a blood-colored light flashed past and was caught by him. The blood-colored brilliance was actually a horrifying heart dripping with blood. The heart was filled with vitality, and the clear sky Saint King felt his heart ache when he saw it. It wasn't easy to extract the heart of a second revolution saint. I didn't expect to use it on a battle emperor. Forget it. This kid's secrets are not small. I'll use his secrets to make up for this loss. The clear sky Saint King opened his mouth and stuffed the heart into it, inside the sacred burial mountain range. You can use a secret technique to travel through the void from inside. Luo Yao looked at Lin Shun in shock. Lin Shun raised his eyebrows. Of course. Without this technique, how would I dare to enter the Saint King's tomb? Luo Yao asked. You can travel through the void even when the spatial barrier is not broken. Lin Shun shrugged. Of course I can. That's why I'm a little confused. Why do you want me to break that great formation? But because of you, I still profited. Luo Yao rumbled. Suddenly, a ferocious and violent aura spread out from Lin Chen's body. Endless dragon Qi traveled back and forth in his dantian as if a holy dragon was descending upon the world. Lin Chen was stunned at first. Then, many memories surged into his body, and his expression became quite interesting. 10,000-year profound azure dragon, 10,000-year azure light. The holy dragon's light protects the body and enhances the dragon body's defense. Heavenly Imperial Rain Dragon, Sacred Bloodline Ability, Heavenly Imperial Divine Ocean. Great Flame True Phoenix, Saint Class Bloodline Ability, Great Flame Prison. Lin Shen's face was filled with ecstasy. My Azure Dragon has broken through to become a holy dragon. I can now borrow the Azure Dragon's power to unleash 100 million dragon power. I've also awakened 3 new abilities. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the spatial crystal wall burst open, and the cracks in the spatial crystal wall filled the sky like giant pythons. The Holy Burial Mountain range was on the verge of collapse. Within the miasma that covered the sky, streaks of dark red light began to spread out, covering the stars and the moon. The 4 ancient arrays in the void were quickly repaired beyond Luo Yao's expectations. Luo Yao suddenly said, "Something's wrong. He exceeded my expectations. He's absorbing the flesh and blood energy of the other saints in the ancient arrays and is now aiming at you." Lin Chen's mouth twitched. The Holy King is really an old monster that can't be killed. Hold on to me tightly. Azure Dragon Possession. Lin Chen's body was overflowing with energy. With a flash of green light, his strength soared to 100 million dragon power. Pucci. The 7-feet-long purple-red phoenix wings flowed with purple-red flames and were as beautiful as a rainbow. Lin Shun hugged Luo Yao tightly and injected a large amount of battle chi into the light wheel odd crystal. This time, After his strength broke through 100 million dragon power, Lin Shun used the Holy Phoenix wings and the power of the Odd Crystal to use Dragon Flash. He traveled dozens of miles in an instant and was hundreds of miles away in 2 blinks of an eye. Lin Shun, you can't escape. Die. The clear sky, Holy King's voice was like the judgment of fate. The ancient array shot out a blood-red dragon that danced in the sky and pounced towards Lin Shun. This attack from the ancient array contained the supreme power to bury a saint. Even a saint level 4 would have to die with regret. Luo Yao Er's heart trembled, and a look of determination appeared on her beautiful face as if she was about to make up her mind. But Lin Shen's reaction was faster than her. A gentle force burst out from his palm and pushed her away. Go quickly, I'll block him. Luo Yao who was floating in the air, was stun blocked. You're a war emperor. How are you going to block this attack? Chapter 11:11. Azure Dragon Possession, Eternal Azure Light. When Lin Shun was using the system, he activated his bloodline and used the Sacred Dragon Possession. Lin Shen's body was covered in azure, sacred dragon scales, and his whole body was covered in a dazzling azure light that resembled a nebula. It was a magnificent sight. The azure light emitted an indestructible brilliance, and with the help of the imperial golden aura, it was impregnable. The current Lin Shun could withstand the attack of a saint who had opened 2 saint acupoints. The eternal azure dragon was known for its defense. However, that was far from enough. That blood dragon's destructive power was enough to crush a saint-level azure dragon. Consumed 334,450 points of high-grade rune energy to activate level 6 slowing rune. Chi. Bang. A grayish-white talisman that could suppress all things in the universe released the power of a peerless talisman. It exploded near the blood-red dragon, and the void within a radius of 100,000 feet froze as if it was solid. Lin Shun had delayed this attack for an instant. It also weakened the power of this attack by about 20%. This was the strongest slowing rune that Lin Shun had ever used, and he didn't even have 1 point of rune energy left. He was facing a sacred king. Keeping a legendary character alive would mean death. In the blink of an eye, Lin Shun managed to buy some time and put on a piece of golden light shoulder armor. Buzz! An aura that could frighten ghosts and deities erupted from Lin Shun's body. Divine radiance shot out from his body, and golden light filled the sky. It was as if an invincible god of war had awoken from his slumber. The absolute power that could shatter the heavens and destroy 10,000 worlds surged into Lin Shun's right arm. Even with the Azure Dragon possession, Lin Shun was still shaken to the point that his blood was churning, and he vomited blood. However, he couldn't care less. The blood dragon had already torn through the slowing rune's stagnant space and was pouncing toward him. What dodged *T, Sacred King? Take my fist. Lin Shun shouted angrily and punched toward the sky. Golden light filled the sky, and the peerless divine light gathered on his fist. Chi! Bang! The blood dragon shattered, and the blood light exploded. A spatial crack appeared in the sky, like a deep abyss. The golden fist wind shook the heavens and the earth. It was as if the heavens and the earth were flipped over by this fist. In the 9 heavens and 10 earths, only a single strand of divine radiance remained. A strike that was powerful enough to kill a 4th-layer saint had been destroyed by Lin Shun with a single punch. Rip! The faint blood-red light pierced through the void and shattered Lin Shun's everlasting green light and heaven-controlling Gung Jin Chi. Bang! Lin Shun crashed to the ground, creating a crater dozens of feet deep. Although his punch could shake the heavens, Lin Shun himself was also shaken by 1,000th of the blood dragon's strength. His body, which was already in a bad state, instantly collapsed. Lin Shun's internal organs and even his 9 tribulations fate wheel were completely shattered. Nearly 80% of the bones in his body had been shattered, More than half of his meridians had been severed, and his flesh and blood had been completely destroyed. Together with the recoil of the ultimate vambrace, Lin Shun had basically stepped into the gates of hell this time. The situation is a little bad. I've really played it big this time. Lin Shun smiled bitterly. The ultimate vambrace on his right arm trembled, and he returned to the system space. Luo Yao rushed to his side anxiously and helped him up. Luo Yao, Er's beautiful eyes were filled with tears. I was actually saved by you again. You have already risked your life, and I'm still hesitating. Lin Shun smiled bitterly. Great Aunt, why aren't you leaving? The Clear Sky Sage King stood on top of the ancient array. His eyes were trembling with fear. He was especially shocked by Lin Chen's series of attacks. This is too shocking. The pure strength of this punch is 30 billion dragon power? No, it's more than that. I'm afraid it's more than 50 billion dragon power. This strength can only be considered as a strong ant when I'm at my peak. However, to a battle emperor, this strength is beyond countless limits. There's no treasure in the sacred boundary that can increase a battle emperor's strength to such an extent. This kid definitely has a huge secret on him. This terrifying secret might be at a level that even I have never come into contact with. Catch him. We can't let him escape. The Clear Sky Sage King was extremely experienced. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was one of the giants in the sacred boundary. Even he felt that Lin Shin's fortuitous opportunity could be described with the word terrifying. This showed how powerful the Ares Vambrace was. In the blink of an eye, the Clear Sky Sage King regained his senses. He pointed his finger at the other array, and a monstrous, evil aura appeared. It was like a demonic abyss, and it was also like the sun and moon in the sky. It broke open a section of the demonic god's finger seal and ruthlessly crushed it toward the two of them. Seeing another round of attacks coming toward them, Lin Shun did not even have the strength to stand up. I didn't expect that you would be by my side before I die. Lin Shun shook his head and smiled bitterly. He looked at Luo Yao. You should run away. Don't you still have great things to do? It's a pity for you to die here with me. Suddenly, Luo Yao's eyes regained their usual coldness and indifference. I won't let you die here. After saying that, she grabbed Lin Chen's palm. Her fingers clenched tightly, and the demonic seal shone brightly. Boom, boom, boom. Demonic aura, as vast as the galaxy, surged out from the demonic seal. No matter if it was the demonic eye in the firmament tower, the demonic aura that was collected by the sky-devouring mirror, or the demonic aura that was absorbed from the Sage King's tombstone, all the demonic aura in the demonic seal was injected into Luo Yao's body. Lin Chen was shocked. He realized that the demonic aura in his palm was quickly disappearing. Luo Yao's charm had returned to how it was when Lin Shun first met her. She was cold, emotionless, and even had a hint of cruelty. If she looked like a fairy who had fallen into the mortal world before, then she looked like a demoness who had descended into the mortal world, looking down on all living things. Swoosh! After Luo Yao finished absorbing the demonic aura in Lin Chen's demonic seal, she stood up and waved her hand. The huge demonic finger exploded. At this moment, the Clear Sky Sage King's face finally returned to normal. Under that calm expression, there was only anger that was burning like a flame. So you are so strong, Lin Shun said with difficulty. The corner of his mouth twitched and blood flowed out. He was almost angered to death by Luo Yao. If you were so strong, why didn't you absorb the demonic aura earlier? I am about to die now. Lin Shun was a saint-level alchemist, and he was very clear about his condition. With his current condition, he would not be able to last more than 15 minutes. He was really tricked by this woman. Luo Yao stared at Lin Shun. There was still a hint of rationality and self-blame in her indifference. She opened her mouth and said, I am sorry, to Luo. Absorbing the demonic aura in the demonic seal would allow her to recover part of her strength. However, it also meant that she would lose the chance to possess Lin Shun. The stronger the demonic aura in the demonic seal, the higher the chances of her controlling Lin Chen perfectly. Now that she had absorbed the demonic aura in the demonic seal, she had lost the only chance to possess Lin Chen. Everything was too late. In the end, it was this young man who disturbed the Empress's beauty and melted her frozen heart. So that's how it is. No wonder this king's ancient formation was broken by this brat. So it's all because of you. This is the first time this king has misjudged you. Your esteemed self also has a body filled with wounds. I'm afraid your esteemed self is not inferior to this king when you were at your peak. The clear sky sage king smiled insincerely. He waved his hand, and the 4 ancient arrays were all aimed at Luo Yao. She carried Lin Chen, who was covered in blood and was about to faint. Her beautiful face was extremely cold. Your blood demon holy burial array is just a low-level demonic array that I disdain to touch. The Sage King's face changed. Me? She actually called herself an empress. Was she bluffing? No, maybe not. Chapter 11:12. What arrogance! Let me, the Clear Sky Sage King, experience your strength. The Clear Sky Sage King was not a coward and would not be intimidated. He activated the power of the 4 ancient arrays. Not only did it contain the flesh and blood of the sages, but it also contained the saint power and the demonic chi. Luo Yao, waved her finger, and the demonic chi in the ancient arrays exploded. The Clear Sky Sage King had lost half of the battle before it even started. You are too arrogant to activate the power of the demonic chi in front of me. Your ancient arrays are sustaining your life. Are you sure you want to continue fighting? Luo Yao said coldly. In fact, her strength was not enough to completely suppress the Clear Sky Sage King, even if he was injured. However, she was not afraid of the Clear Sky Sage King. If the power he controlled was the saint power, then everything would be unknown. However, the Clear Sky Sage King was using the demonic chi. Whether it was the 4 ancient arrays or the tomb, most of the techniques used were from the demonic chi. In this world, except for the ancient demonic gods, no one knew the techniques of the demonic chi better than her. Controlling the demonic chi in front of her? Showing off in front of an expert? Overconfident? How could I let you leave so easily? Die. The Blood Demon's Sacred Burial Array was activated again, and the battle between the 2 sides was about to start. On one side was the leader of the demonic chi, and on the other side was the human Sage King. Both of them were not at their peak, and their situation was not optimistic, but they still fought. Outside the Sacred Burial Mountain Range, when the Clear Sky Sage King entered the ancient arrays, it alarmed all the sages. The sages stepped on the holy light and approached the outer ring of the mountain range to investigate carefully. Bang! 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 The entire Sacred Burial Mountain range shook, and the space inside shattered into paste, causing many sages to be terrified. What a terrifying power! What is happening inside the mountain range? The space in the Sacred Burial Mountain range is shaking. Something is wrong. The situation has changed. Our genius is in danger. When the sages of various forces wanted to rush in to investigate, the miasmal layer at the top of the mountain range shone brightly, and some of the older sages were shocked. The ancient arrays in the mountain range have been activated. Something is wrong. Could it be that the Clear Sky Sage King has awakened himself? No one who went in this time has a saint realm cultivation. There are signs of devil chi being born. Could it be that woman? The sages were shocked and horrified. The group of sages who had been chasing after Luo Yao earlier were on high alert, ready to fight at any time. If that which regained her strength, the situation would be very grim. Perhaps there would be even more casualties in their group today. No one dared to act blindly without thinking. The battle in the Sacred Burial Mountain range was becoming more and more earth-shattering. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Dozens of figures rushed out from different directions of the mountain range. When the 2 monster-level geniuses rushed back to their sex, the first thing they said was, "Run, run." Then, the last 200 or so geniuses used their life-saving techniques and ran out. What happened inside? Young master, are you all right? Young sect master, what's going on? However, those geniuses who ran out were extremely anxious. They grabbed the arms of their own saints and said with pale faces, "Brother, don't worry about it. Run, run." The Black Horse Club's Lin Shun has forced the Clear Sky Sage King out. Lin Shun, that bastard, is dancing on the Sage King's grave. The Clear Sky Sage King has awakened and is about to come out. Lin Shun has seen through the Sage King's inheritance is a conspiracy. The Sage King is in cahoots with the devil race and wants to control all of us to become his puppets. Now the Sage King is about to come out. Elder, if you don't run now, you won't have the chance anymore. The genius's words made the hundreds or even thousands of sages' scalps tingle. What? The Black Horse Club's Lin Shun? He has forced the Clear Sky Sage King out? What kind of crazy thing did a war emperor do to force the Sage King to come out personally to deal with him? The Clear Sky Sage King is in cahoots with the devil race? The Sage King's inheritance is a conspiracy? The amount of information was too much. The sage's brains could not wrap around it. One of the sages subconsciously asked, "Young master, what is dancing? F***, is this the time to ask this? I don't know what dancing is either." Anyway, those crazy people from the Black Horse Club are singing and dancing on the Sage King's grave. Even the Sage King's aura was useless against them. Yin Wuxie, who had returned to his master's side, whistled and laughed. Ha ha ha, anyway, I'm convinced. Lin Shin, the brat, was so angry that the Sage King's coffin lid flew off. The Sage King personally came out to deal with him, and he even broke the array, allowing us to escape. Hearing the discussions of the various geniuses, Ning Qingxian and the other girls were extremely anxious. Why hadn't the people from the Black Horse Club come out yet? Could it be that they had met with some mishap? Country King Fu Sheng and the others were even more speechless, so angry that the Sage King lifted the coffin lid. Oh my God, that was the legendary Sage King, an existence that stood at the peak of the sacred boundary. How ridiculous was this Black Horse Club, Wasn't this a hole in the sky? If it was a peak-level sage, even they wouldn't be able to do this. Xiao Jing, who was hugging his chest, frowned slightly. As a monster on the demon genius list, he hated people of the same age who were more eye-catching than him. Even the Sage King was forced to come out? This young master wants to see if this Lin Shun has 3 heads and 6 arms, or if he's a god on earth. Just as the outside of the mountain range was in chaos, the earth-shattering commotion in the Saint Burial Mountain range suddenly stopped, and everything fell silent. All the saints felt a chill run down their spines, and an instinctive sense of alertness rose from the bottom of their hearts. They quickly brought their geniuses and retreated a few hundred li. Monarch Fu Sheng and the others did the same. They ignored the girls' struggles and brought them far away from Zhongyu. The saints tore through space, preparing to escape at any moment. If it was really as their geniuses said, that the Saint King Hao Tian was in cahoots with the demon race, then with the appearance of this Saint King, even if he was in a state of near death, if he wanted to kill someone, the number of saints present would not exceed 5. Only Xiao Jing on the demon genius list, the saints surrounding Luo Yao, and a few daring Saint Realm old monsters dared not to stay outside of the mountain range. Under everyone's gaze, a suffocating pressure filled the air. A slender and elegant figure in a black robe carried a bloodied young man as she slowly stepped into the air, appearing in front of everyone's eyes. The saints were stunned. It wasn't the Saint King Hao Tian. It's her, as expected. She has recovered her strength. No, she hasn't fully recovered yet. She has only recovered part of her strength. Her injuries are still there. The 12 saints surrounding Luo Yao had different expressions on their faces, and after exchanging glances, they all confirmed it. This battle was unavoidable. Luo Yao hugged the dying Lin Shun, and tears flowed down her cheeks, but her expression was cold and indifferent. "Get out of my way. If he dies, I will bury all the humans in the sacred boundary with him." Although her voice was soft and pleasant to the ears, it was as cold as the demonic voice of the 9 nether hell. A hellish, demonic aura enveloped the heavens, and the earth trembled. The saints retreated, and their expressions changed slightly. Chapter 11:13. The sages who were hundreds of miles away felt a chill down their spines when they heard the voice. Who the hell is this woman? Could it be that demonic tribe woman? The sages who were hundreds of miles away channeled their holy chi and covered their eyes. They could clearly see the situation outside the mountain range. Once they sensed that something was wrong, they immediately fled. Although the one who came out was not the Clear Sky Sage King, it might be someone who was more threatening than the Clear Sky Sage King. Staring at Lin Shun, Xiao Jing crossed his arms in front of his chest, and a disdainful smile appeared on his face. Dead? What a disappointment. I wanted to torture him to death. I didn't expect that I would have come for nothing. Suddenly, a second sun rose between heaven and earth. Demon Cultivator Clan's demons and monsters, stop bluffing here. No matter what your background is, you will die here today. In the center of the sun, a majestic man wearing sun golden armor slowly walked out. He had fierce eyes and sharp eyebrows. His face was rough and resolute. His entire person was filled with a domineering and imposing aura. He carried a golden spear on his back. The tip of the spear pointed diagonally at the sky, turning into a ray of afterglow between heaven and earth. Behind him, there was a holy light sun shining brightly. The strength of his holy aura made him the most powerful being present. It's the great sun-burning sky sage of the Yin domain. The morale of the 12 sages was greatly boosted. They shouted the name of the golden-armored man, Luo Yao. Er's expression remained unchanged. Just based on you bunch of useless things, you want to stop this emperor's footsteps? The sages were stunned. She actually called herself an emperor? How could this be? Could she really be? Before the sages could guess Luo Yao, Er's identity, a 9-color divine light illuminated the sky. Luo Yao was shocked. This 9-colored brilliance rushed out from Lin Chen's body. Lin Chen only felt dizzy. Everything around him seemed to have stopped, and he fell into endless darkness. Lin Chen had been close to the feeling of death many times. He knew very well that he was going to die this time. Am I going to die? What was that woman thinking? She waited until the end to extract the devil chi from the devil seal. If she had done it earlier, I wouldn't have to die. This death is not worth it. Mother of Asterisk Her, I've seen so many beauties since I came to this world, but I'm going to die before I've even tasted them. What AF Asterisk King loss? If I can do it all over again, I want a whore until I lose contact with her. Just as Lin Chen's consciousness was vexed, a ray of orange light shone into the darkness he was in. 8 orange words appeared in Lin Chen's mind. The power of the ancient gods, after being broken, would be re-established. This is what I obtained from the Orange Tier secret realm in the 9 prefectures continent's firmament tower. Oh right, it said that the principal became a saint by relying on the Orange Tier secret realm in the firmament tower. No wonder the ancient god said that we were fated to meet when we first met. Lin Shun was ecstatic. Rumble. Lin Shen's consciousness was pulled back by this newly awakened power. Once again, he opened his eyes. His whole body was covered in a substantial energy brilliance, and he was wrapped in a 2-meter-wide, 3-meter-long, 9-colored energy cocoon. Luo Yao stared at him from outside the light cocoon. Although her beautiful face was as cold as ever, there was a hint of excitement in her beautiful eyes. Lin Shen was about to move, but Luo Yao immediately transmitted a message to him. Don't move. There's a new power in your body that's helping to reconstruct your body. You've been seriously injured this time, and it's perfectly activated. You can use this power to advance to the Saint Realm in one go. After that, you can focus on breaking through to the next realm. Leave the rest to me. Lin Shen looked at Luo Yao deeply and said seriously, although I'm still very angry with you, you must be careful. Don't die. Luo Yao's lips curled up slightly. They can't threaten me. Protecting you is the most important thing. What's that? What a strong life force. There's a powerful life force hidden in this boy's body. Now that this potential has been activated, his cultivation has reached the peak of the fifth tribulation. There's a high chance that he'll step into the saint realm. The great solar-burning heaven sage glanced at Lin Shun and said indifferently, "That's not the most important thing. Take down this witch first." Xiao Jing smiled playfully and rubbed his chin. He said with interest, "Ha! He actually obtained an opportunity to break through to the saint realm. Interesting." Luo Yao slowly stood in the air and said indifferently, "Whoever takes another step forward will die." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The 12 saints surrounded Luo Yao. The great solar-burning heaven sage grabbed the golden spear behind him and sneered, "Interesting. You want to protect this human youth?" Luo Yao was expressionless. Her slender hands glowed with a faint red light, like the faint moonlight flowing through her fingers. Her pair of lively eyes turned a faint blood red at this moment. She was as beautiful as a precious jade. She was bewitching, charming, and extremely cold. Luo Yao put her hands together. Her cherry lips opened, and she chanted an obscure chant. "My emperor only has one blade. It can subdue demons, swallow stars, receive moons, order gods, cut the heavens, destroy the world, and destroy the world." The blood-red light gathered, and the beauty opened her hands. Hundreds of millions of blood-red lights slowly gathered in her palms to form a blood-red machete. This machete looked as if it was made from blood jade. The blade was curved like a moon, releasing an extremely bewitching demonic power. Rumble. The moment Luo Yao grasped the blood-red machete, a terrifying demonic aura was released from the demonic blade like a demonic prison that covered the sky. It descended upon the heavens. The spiritual energy of the entire sacred burial mountain range formed a vortex that was sucked into the blood-red machete. The earth and sky were all withered and destroyed. The earth veins became dry and cracked. The spiritual energy in the sky evaporated. All life was withering, annihilating, passing away, and withering. All the light in the world was being swallowed by the blood-red machete. It was heartbreaking, sad, and filled with endless despair. Finally, even the great solar-burning heaven sage's expression changed. He was especially shocked. This, could it be? Demonic blade cut the heavens. The great solar-burning heaven sage clearly remembered that on that day, countless years ago, the chaos in the sacred prison had alarmed everyone in the sacred boundary. A woman had turned the sacred boundary upside down. Her demonic blade swept through the world, forcing the gods to appear and unable to stop her. That demonic blade seemed to be able to devour everything. It could become the most evil existence in the world. It was a nightmare in human history. The level of contact that the saints present had was far inferior to his, so they were unable to see the portrait of the demonic blade. The news had been blocked by some existence in the sacred boundary. Buzz! The 12 saints were uncontrollably sucked in by the demonic aura emitted by the demonic blade. The demonic blade's demonic aura was too strong. It sucked in everything in the void, time, space, light, spiritual energy, and life. It was as if it could swallow everything in the world. Even the arrogant Xiao Jing, who was ranked on the demon genius ranking, showed some fear and dread. What a terrifying blade. The 12 saints were preparing to launch a desperate counterattack. Just as they were about to launch a desperate counterattack, a wave of blade light slashed through the void. It was as if it had split the sky open, cutting off the demonic aura in the sky and saving the 12 saints. The saints were shocked. More powerful cultivators had arrived. Chapter 11:14. Who would have thought that I would be lucky enough to see the true face of the demonic blade today? I wonder what is your relationship with that, Lord? A cold voice reverberated in the sky. A blade aura path was cut in the sky. The man walked down from the blade aura path. His face was as calm as water. He looked like a man in his 30s, but the vicissitudes of life in his eyes made him look like an old monster that had lived for millions of years. He carried a tiger-headed blade on his back. The blade aura was like a dragon in the clouds and a tiger in the wind, stabilizing the demonic aura in the air. It is a yellow region sky underworld blade saint, Gu Chong Tian. The 12 saint realm experts' expressions relaxed, and their confidence increased by a notch. With 2 absolute saint stage experts holding the fort, there was still a chance for them to fight today. Luo Yao was as calm as water. She did not care about this person. Sky Underworld Blade Saint turned to look at Great Sun Burning Heaven Sage and said, "I never thought that there would be a day where I would team up with you." The latter sneered, "Don't talk nonsense. You know the origin of that blade better than me. Even if it is not real, it is still related." Guchong Tian took a deep look at the demonic blade and said something shocking. "It might be true. That despairing aura is not something that some ugly demonic race can imitate. However, its aura is 1,000,000 times, no, 10 million times weaker. If it was true, we would have been devoured long ago. It would be impossible for us to be standing here. I have already informed the higher-ups. Let's team up. She seems to want to protect that kid. We just need to hold her back." Great Sun Burning Heaven said. The other saints agreed immediately. Rumble. The afterglow of the saint light was like a sun. The blade aura split the sky and slashed towards Luo Yao. Led by 2 saint realm experts, 12 saint realm experts gathered their strength and unleashed their strongest attacks, surrounding Luo Yao, and attacking her. Just SOSO. Luo Yao, was expressionless. Her demonic blade flashed, and an extremely demonic blood blade aura flashed out. This saber strike was enough to break one's heart. Before the blade aura arrived, the blade aura had already disintegrated the opponent's fighting spirit. Just a second ago, the space was still filled with boundless holy light, and the holy power was as deep as the sea. The space was filled with endless holy songs. But in the next moment, it was reduced to the border of hell, wherever the blood-red saber light passed. In the surroundings, the light was dim and drifting, and the space was distorted and shattered. All the light was twisted into a vortex, and it was absorbed, devoured, and annihilated by the saber light. Holy light seals, orange greatsword skills, odd crystals, bloodline abilities, and the attacks of 14 Fourth Heaven True Saints were all devoured by the blood-red sword light. The blade light was so dense that even the direction of the attack had been changed. Buzz. A goateed elder wanted to use the movement technique he was so proud of to launch a sneak attack on Linshan and grab hold of Luo Yao's vital points. He had just used his body movement technique to escape into the void, but he was caught off guard by the aftershock of the blade aura. His entire body's saint power was disintegrated in an instant, and his saint blood was spurting wildly. Half of his saint chi was drained. In the next moment, his entire body was involuntarily sucked towards the blood-colored, demonic saber. His face was filled with terror. Boom! A golden light slashed down from the sky, cutting off the suction force that was like the abyss of hell. The great sun burning heaven saint's golden spear was in his hand at some unknown time. Thank you for saving us." The goateed saint broke out in cold sweat and hurriedly thanked him. "Don't think about attacking that young man. The opponent we are facing is the strongest you have encountered so far. She gave us this chance to be distracted. Be on your guard. As long as we can delay her, it will be our victory." Tianming's sword saint's voice rang in the ears of all the saints, and all of them subconsciously swallowed their saliva. Boom! Tianming sword saint slashed out again. This slash was stunning, and it was like 10,000 rays of silver light pouring down. The Milky Way fell from the 9 heavens, and the holy light illuminated the world. It was full of the power of odd crystals and orange-grade sword skills. The fierce battle started again. So strong. This saber is too domineering. Linshan witnessed the battle from within the 9-colored light cocoon, and his mind was shaken by Luo Yao's methods. Luo Yao and the 14 saints were engaged in a fierce battle. Although the battle was earth-shattering, it didn't hurt the area around Lin Chen at all. It was obvious that Luo Yao had deliberately protected Lin Chen. Boom! With a dragon's roar, a green light flashed, and Lin Chen released his green dragon. The dragon's body was 3,000 feet long, and its dragon eyes were like shining stars. Its scales were light green, its tail was azure, its claws grasped the clouds, and its phoenix wings were purplish red. It was extremely beautiful and mighty. This was a genuine holy dragon, a rank 8 holy dragon that could surpass realms and fight against 2 holy caves. The green dragon protected Lin Chen with all its might, not allowing him to be affected at all. My foundation is completely enough to break through to the Saint Realm. In fact, it's more than enough. In terms of battle chi cultivation, I have decomposed many holy skeletons. In terms of spiritual accumulation, I have experienced countless life and death situations. From 9 states all the way to the sacred boundary, I have killed many saints. In terms of spiritual tempering, even gods can't suppress me at all. Lin Chen's eyes revealed a terrifying aura. With the power left in his body by the ancient god, Lin Chen could accumulate and erupt to become a saint immediately. However, he didn't immediately attack the hexagonal brilliance an inch below the heart. Instead, he kept recalling and tempering his spirit. The Saint Realm was a realm where one would transform into a new life. Becoming a saint meant transcending the level of mortals. When breaking through to the Saint Realm, one's lifetime of experience, potential, tempering, and accumulation would be an important factor in becoming a saint. Not only would it increase the success rate of becoming a saint, but more importantly, under the premise that one had enough talent, one's acupoints would explode. Exploding acupoints was a situation that would only happen when one entered the Saint Realm for the first time. It meant that when one's life potential, bloodline talent, spiritual accumulation, and spiritual tempering reached a new height, there would be consecutive exploding acupoints. When a prodigy became a saint, opening one holy cave would allow one to ascend to the Saint Realm and become a dragon. However, there were a few super geniuses who could continuously explode acupoints upon entering the Saint Realm, opening 2 to 3 or even 4 holy caves in a row. Exploding acupoints didn't only depend on talent. In the end, it depended on one's tempering and accumulation, which was very important. Super geniuses had a higher chance of exploding acupoints. Most super geniuses would be able to explode 2 to 3 holy caves when they entered the Saint Realm. Only super geniuses had a chance of exploding 4 holy caves. Exploding 4 holy caves in a row meant that one would be in the mid-first heaven true Saint Realm. As for those monstrous geniuses who were at the bottom of the monstrous geniuses list, they had a small chance of exploding 5 holy caves in a row. Only those on the monstrous geniuses list had a chance of exploding more than 5 holy caves. Furthermore, it was only a possibility. Not every monstrous genius could achieve a score of more than 5. It was really too difficult to go any higher. To explode 5 holy caves, a battle emperor had to challenge saints, hunt holy beasts, and fight true saints alone. It was simply too difficult to explode 6 holy caves in a row. This was also the reason why Jian Xingsheng had never entered the Saint Realm. She had always pursued the limits of the Tao of swords and battles. She had constantly sharpened her spirit and accumulated spiritual tempering, all for the sake of exploding more acupoints when she entered the Saint Realm. In that case, how many holy caves would Lin Chen explode? Chapter 11:15. In the center of the tomb in the sacred burial mountain range. It's her. I was not at the sacred boundary during the chaos in the sacred prison. I didn't expect to meet such a legendary figure today inside the Blood Demon Burial Saint formation. The Clear Sky Saint King was absorbing the remaining essence of the saint's flesh and blood, injecting them into his body like streams of light. Fear lingered in his heart, and his face was filled with fear. After the fight, he knew that unless he fought with his real body, he would not be able to defeat the other party. The array was created by the demon race. If he had set it up with the cultivation of a sage king, the result would be completely different. Unfortunately, he was on the verge of death and did not have the time to do so. This kid has let many people escape. I'm afraid that the news of my inheritance will spread like wildfire. If they know that I'm in cahoots with the demon race, the next batch of geniuses will not be good enough. The clear sky sage king returned to the tomb with a gloomy expression. There were still more than 100 geniuses in the tomb. These geniuses were either shocked or courageous, as they respectfully asked the clear sky sage king for help. Greetings, Lord Sage King. We are willing to follow you. As for the evaluation of the world, the winner is king, and the loser is a bandit. We don't care about that. Lord Sage King is willing to pursue a higher realm. We are willing to follow you to death. A few geniuses knelt on one knee. The clear sky sage king, who was standing in the void, smirked. He could see through these young people's thoughts at a glance. They did not try to hide it. For these geniuses, there were not many 8th-level saints in their forces, let alone 9th-level saints. This was the limit of their growth in the future. Since there was a supreme sage king in front of them, why would they not follow him? If they could gain the favor of the sage king, wouldn't it be a great fortune to be rewarded with a cultivation technique? As for the so-called pursuit of the demon race's power, it was nothing. In this world, strength was king. The clear sky sage king knew his current situation. If news of him spread, the next batch of geniuses would not have the foundation of these young people. After all, they had passed the first and second round of selections. If he wanted to carry out his plan, they were the only ones he could use. All right, since you have the heart to pursue me, swear to be loyal to me forever. I will give you enough power. The clear sky sage king said calmly. All the geniuses knelt down and submitted. However, there was one person who did not kneel. That person was dressed in a black robe. His eyes were like an eagle's, emitting a sharp light that was even more profound than the darkness. It was the mysterious young man who had sensed Lin Chen's innate dark shadow technique before entering the sacred burial mountain range. Clear Sky Saint King, I have a partnership. I wonder if you're interested. That person actually transmitted his voice to the Clear Sky Saint King, and the two of them stared at each other coldly. Another interesting young man, outside the sacred burial mountain range. The mouths of the sages who were watching the battle, nearly 500 kilometers away, trembled as they retreated again and again. It was too terrifying. He was fighting against 14 saints alone, and he still had the upper hand. This woman's background was unimaginably terrifying. They had seen with their own eyes that the 4th-level saint who had attempted to launch a sneak attack on Lin Chun had almost been swallowed by the devil chi emitted by her saber. If he was caught off guard, even a 4th-layer martial saint could die on the spot. Even they rarely saw a battle of this scale. This old man has never seen a battle of such scale. This is a holy war that is rarely seen even in the history of the Southern Territory. A saint from the Southern Territory swallowed his saliva and said with difficulty. Another saint's eyes shone brightly as he stared at Lin Chun and said, "That peerless monster from the Black Horse Club, Lin Chun, seems to be gathering his life force to break through to the saint stage and prepare to explode his acupoints. He's standing after breaking through, and his life force has been stimulated to the extreme. I wonder how many acupoints he can explode with his ability? At least," a saint pondered for a moment and said tentatively, "at least 3 acupoints. I'm guessing 4 saint acupoints." This kid even caused a ruckus in the Saint King's tomb. Other geniuses don't have such a foundation like him. You're underestimating this young man. If you ask me, I think he can explode 5 acupoints. This is a one-of-a-kind monster. He'll definitely enter the demon ranking in the future. He's only a war emperor, and he forced a Saint King to come out. Who else can have such a foundation? A group of old saints from all over the 36 domains argued with each other. There were as many geniuses as sand in the sacred boundary. All the saints present were once high-spirited geniuses, and all of them had their own youthful and frivolous years on the genius ranking. However, the genius ranking was still limited, unless one was in the top 10,000 of the genius ranking. The demon ranking was different. The genius ranking had changed countless times, and only the demon ranking remained at 10,000. There were too many geniuses born in the 36 domains of the sacred boundary. Those who surpassed them to become demon geniuses were legends that created history. Demons on the demon ranking were not allowed to fight to the death in private. They had to report it to the higher-ups, and only with permission could they fight to the death. If they fought to the death without permission, they would be punished by the higher-ups. From this point alone, one could see the difference between the genius ranking and the demon ranking. The top forces of the sacred boundary valued the demons on the demon ranking much more than the genius ranking. Today, they were able to witness the birth of a peerless demon comparable to those on the demon ranking. No one wanted to miss this scene. That kid is Lin Shun. He really is a dragon among men. No wonder he killed the top genius of the Sun Moon Hall. It seems like we have a chance to kill him now. He's at his weakest when he becomes a saint. Among the many saints, there were naturally enemies of Lin Shun. A force like the Sun Moon Hall was different from the 100 Saints Gate, which only had one Orient Yao. The Nangong Nye, who had fallen at the hands of Lin Shun, was not the only top genius of the Sun Moon Hall. They also had geniuses from the previous generation who were in the top 10,000 of the genius ranking. They were trying to enter the sacred burial mountain range to obtain a saint's fate. There were also those geniuses who had been killed by the Black Horse Club in the samsara of life and death. Some of the forces behind them were also present today, and they were eyeing Lin Shun covetously. Little girls, stop messing around. This battle is no longer something that old fellows like us can interfere with. Elder Ao Ching of the Innumerable Green Palace scolded the girls seriously. He even scolded the two princesses of the Fu Saint country. The current battle situation was very complicated. This was related to the demon tribe. If they were not careful, the forces behind them might be destroyed. This time, they did not dare to act rashly and help Lin Shun. Ning Qingxian was burning with anxiety. She clenched her fists so tightly that her fingernails cut into the air. Ao Qing saw this and sighed in her heart. This girl was extremely talented. She was the most talented person in the history of the Innumerable Green Palace. She had cultivated their inherited mental cultivation technique. Her mental state should have been extraordinary long ago. Only this kid can affect you to this extent. If this kid dies, I'm afraid this girl will fall into endless hatred. This will cause her cultivation to regress instead of improving. Ao Qing looked expressionless, but her heart was burning with anxiety. Yu Qingli grabbed her sister's hand and comforted her. Seventh sister, Sir Lin Shun will definitely make it through. Young Master Jundak Shuai will definitely be safe. Yu Yulan cried silently. She prayed for Jundak Shuai in her heart. Heavens, if you want to punish someone, punish Yulan alone. Yulan is willing to bear any pain and punishment for young Master Jundak Shuai. Sun Yue gritted her teeth. She did not even dare to open her eyes to look in Lin Chen's direction. However, in the next moment, the expressions of the saints changed again. A sage expert muttered as he stared at Lin Chen's 9-colored light cocoon as though he had seen a ghost. Oh my God, it can't be. How ambitious is this kid? Chapter 11:16. Lin Shun focused all of his attention on training his mind and accumulating his spirit power. Scenes of his life and the powerful enemies he had encountered flashed through his mind. It's time. There's no better opportunity than now. Blood Flame Sacred Dragon Pill out. Lin Shun activated the Blood Flame Sacred Dragon Pill in his Dantian, transforming it from an embryonic pill to a finished divine pill. The moment the finished divine pill was born, all kinds of medicinal power entered his body. Lin Shun, who was in the 9-colored light cocoon, started to burn with a bloody flame. His spirit power was so strong that it started to condense into the last bit of dragon power. It's not over yet. Lin Chen's forehead exploded with a terrifying vitality. Buzz. Boundless psyche ripples surged out from between his eyebrows. His 5 clones continued to refine an ocean of psyche attribute points into the psyche bridge in Lin Chen's psyche sea. He quickly activated grand beginning sainthood, and his psyche energy was like the sun and moon in the sky, hanging high in the sky. Boom! Everyone could clearly feel a powerful energy wave coming from Lin Chen's direction. It was as strong as a dragon, and spirit power was everywhere. It was like a bloody flame burning all over Lin Chen's body. The 9-colored light cocoon ignited, and a dragon's roar shook the sky. A spirit power storm was brewing above Lin Chen's head. It was like a storm of pear blossoms, filling the sky with a rain of flowers. It had the power to reach the 9 heavens and the 9 hells. This momentum fiercely shook the hearts of every saint. They couldn't be wrong about such a phenomenon. This was a sign that his spirit and body were about to reach the saint level. In addition, the 9-colored light cocoon showed signs of sacred light brewing. The probability of these 3 phenomena appearing at the same time was infinitely close to 0. It only existed in the legends of the sacred boundary. The most powerful advancement in history, 3 in 1. He's going to turn the world upside down. This kid is really going to turn the world upside down. He's going to use the moment when his life force is at its strongest to reach the triple saint state in one go. This is the real Trinity. He's going to reach the saint level with his body, cultivation, and spirit at the same time. It's perfect and flawless. It's too scary. All of us have underestimated this Lin Chen's ambition. Not only does he want to pursue a perfect acupuncture point explosion, he also wants to pursue the most difficult 3-in-1 advancement in history. This is definitely a historical moment. A genius who can become a saint in one body only exists in legends. If he can accomplish this feat, he will definitely be the #1 genius below the demon genius ranking. Countless veteran sages had different expressions. Some were so excited that tears welled up in their eyes. Some were so excited that they gasped and went crazy, and some were about to attack with killing intent. No one had expected this result. The unity of the 3 was the most difficult barrier to become a saint. Since ancient times, countless arrogant geniuses had attempted to break through this barrier, but none of them had ever failed. Some had even ruined their chance to perfectly explode their acupoints. In the end, they had only managed to open one saint acupoint and become a saint. They were mediocre and had fallen to the lowest level of the saint realm. At this point, countless bloody lessons had been learned. Countless geniuses and peerless geniuses no longer dared to gamble their fates and challenge the strongest of the 3. This time, Lin Chen was a little different. He was not like the previous geniuses, who were all bark and no bite. His accumulation of 3 major domains was extremely solid. More than half of his physical body had already been transformed into a saint body. Now he had borrowed the momentum of breaking through and building up again, as well as the body-nourishing core. These 2 forces had helped him accumulate enough strength. His spiritual power had already reached the peak of the half-step saint realm. After breaking through the clear sky Saint King's ancient array, he had obtained the highest spiritual power in history, 990,000 points. Until now, his clone was still helping him to refine the huge amount of spiritual power that had been transformed into by his spiritual power. The sages had a premonition that he would most likely succeed. We can't let this brat succeed. This brat is like a 3-in-1 saint. He will definitely soar into the sky with unstoppable momentum. We have to kill him again. The 3 sages of the Sun-Moon Hall revealed ferocious looks. The 2 sages from the 100 Saints Gate looked at each other and hit it off. Kill Lin Chen. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the Sun-Moon Hall of the 100 Saints Gate, 5 sages appeared together. Oh no, the Sun-Moon Hall and the 100 Saints Gate have made their move. Damn it, these old guys really don't care about their reputation. They're targeting a junior to this extent. They don't even care about their old faces. Many sages cursed in their hearts. The 100 Saints Gate had declined, and the Sun Moon Hall was one of the strongest sects below the 6th grade sections. Among the sages present, no one dared to protect Lin Chun if they did not have a 6th grade background. The 5 sages turned into 5 streams of light and surrounded Lin Chun from behind. They tore through the void and launched a surprise attack on Lin Chun. Luo Yao, who was fighting fiercely, turned her gaze and squinted her beautiful eyes. "Aunt, you're courting death." She changed her attack. Her slender hand gripped the demonic saber tightly and shook it. The blade drew out a demonic and eerie blood-red saber light. The saber light swept towards the space behind Lin Chun. Everywhere it passed, devilish sounds could be heard, and ghostly cries and howls could be heard. The space around them exploded, and the attacks of the 3/4 Heaven True Saints were sucked dry. The 3/4 Heaven True Saints activated their movement techniques and retreated rapidly. The saber light flashed, and a large amount of shattered space was sucked dry by the saber light. The light was swallowed into nothingness, and it was like a devilish hell. Whoa! Within the blazing sun and the void, a finger of holy light that was dozens of acres in size crushed the saber radiance into pieces. In the next moment, the Sky Darksaber Saint, Gu Chantian, waved his holy saber and slashed out hundreds of times. The chaotic saber light shattered the remaining devilish energy, and the saber light dissipated. Gu Changtian appeared in front of Lin Chun with a saber in his hand. He looked at Luo Yao, and said indifferently, "You seem to care a lot about that young man. Even your attacks have a slight flaw. The current you is unable to break through our attacks. Die." Luo Yao grew colder and colder, and a rare trace of emotion appeared in her heart. The 2 strongest Saint Stage experts present had caught hold of her weakness and held her back. They didn't want her attacks to leak out at all. Roar! Lin Chin's holy dragon sensed the approaching true saints, and it roared in anger. Its entire body lit up with azure dragon light as it prepared to unleash its strongest attack. Just when Lin Chun was about to use his last 2 killing moves to fight the enemy, a wave of spiritual energy that was both familiar and strange to him emerged from the top of his head. This is, to everyone's surprise, a beam of holy light suddenly descended from the 9 heavens without any warning. "Whoever dares to touch my class monitor, I will destroy him." Boom, boom, boom. 5 streaks of spiritual energy shot out, like 5 shooting stars, accurately hitting the 5 true saints hiding dozens of li away. The 5 true saints' spiritual energy wavered, and their faces turned pale. The 2 true saints from the 100 Saints Gate were slightly weaker, and blood flowed from the corners of their mouths, forcing 5 true saints back with a single strike. Another expert had arrived. Everyone looked over and saw a silver-haired person landing beside Lin Chin's 9-colored light cocoon. This person's elegance was unparalleled. Her silver hair was light, her skin was whiter than snow, and her face was as fair as snow. Her eyes were bright and her teeth were white. Her collar was straight, and her facial features were flawless. She surpassed countless handsome men and beautiful women in the mortal world. Her snow-white robes perfectly accentuated her slender and exquisite figure, like a willow branch in the spring. A few geniuses couldn't help but hold their breaths. This person might be a little unfamiliar to some of the veteran sages, but to these monster-level geniuses, she was a peak existence that they could only look up to. This was another legendary figure. Number 1 on the genius leaderboard, the amazing child. Chapter 11:17. Everyone was dumbfounded. Only a dozen or so people recognized the white-robed man's identity. 2 years ago, he had appeared out of nowhere and defeated the number 1 on the genius list, becoming the new generation's top ranker. The number 1 on the genius list, the amazing child, Han Iji. He had another title, the number 1 handsome youth in the sacred boundary. Indeed, Hearing about him was not as good as meeting him in person. Even though they had seen countless beauties before, they were still slightly stunned for a moment. The peerless beauty's eyes were filled with boundless spiritual fluctuations. It was as if as long as one stared into her eyes, they would be forever lost in the boundless spiritual world. It was irresistible and intoxicating. The gentleness between his brows revealed the shyness of a youth, and his smile revealed a beauty that could cause the downfall of a country to pale in comparison. This person seemed to belong only in the heavens. This spiritual energy, is it Iji? So powerful. There's a simple and unadorned feeling in his aura. He must have inherited some special power. Lin Chun was focused on breaking through to the next realm. He sensed Han Iji's arrival with just a wisp of his spiritual consciousness. Han Iji did not even turn his head. He raised his hand and gave the 9-colored cocoon a thumbs up. Lin Chen's mind steadied, and he focused on breaking through to the next realm. Everything was within his control. The ancient god realm's post-destruction power grew stronger and stronger. After stimulating Lin Chen's life potential, it was like an endless torrent of energy that washed over Lin Chen's injured body. At the same time, he had surpassed his peak state. He had the feeling of a holy statue. On the other side, Han Iji's sudden appearance had stunned everyone. She had single-handedly blocked the 5 saints, and this made even more people guess and realize her identity. Seeing that Han Iji was a helper, Luo Yao calmed down. Her experience was extraordinary, and she could see the powerful strength hidden in Han Iji's body. As long as a 4th heaven true Saint Realm expert did not appear, he would be invincible, unless the monstrous geniuses list made a move. The 5 saints from the Sun Moon Hall and the 100 Saints Gate had ugly expressions on their faces. Just as they were at a loss of what to do, the holy light illuminated the sky. Clouds rose and rosy, sprinkling down patches of auspicious light. Number 1 on the genius ranking. The Black Horse Club killed 4 of our geniuses. Do you think you can stop us all by yourself? 2 men bathed in the holy light walked out slowly. The domineering aura between their brows made them seem like they were looking down on all living things, as if they were the rulers of the world. Immediately after, a dark shadow appeared in the west, like a dark moon in the sky. From the dark moon, a frail-looking old man walked out. He had white hair and a crane-like complexion. He was leaning on a walking stick, and his eyes were as deep as the abyss. This old man is an old bone from the Dark Heaven Hall of the southern region. Little guy, this brat killed our dark evil genius, Fan Xing. He has to give us an explanation. Other people might not dare to touch you, but it doesn't mean that our Dark Heaven Hall won't. Han Iji's small face became serious. All 3 of them were sages who had opened 30 saint caves, peak of the 3rd heaven saint realm. There's no point in talking anymore. Let's fight. I want to take a step back. Han Iji's snow-white fingertips formed a hand seal, and a crystal-like spiritual light shrouded Lin Chun like an eggshell, protecting Lin Chun. This old man hasn't fought for a long time. Today, I'd like to see what the number 1 on the genius ranking is capable of. The 3 of you over there, the 3 of US will hold them back. The rest of you go and drag that Lin Chun out. The 3 sages scolded sternly. The 5 sages from the Sun Moon Hall were livid, but they could only nod. Han Iji smiled faintly, looking extremely elegant. None of you will break through my defense. Kaboom! As soon as she finished speaking, thousands of blue spiritual light pillars descended from the sky, forming a spiritual circle that surrounded the 8 of them. A spiritual barrier? What powerful spiritual power! It won't last long. Break it. The 2 sides immediately exchanged blows. Han Iji's techniques shocked the thousands of sages who were watching from afar. She had blocked 8 sages by herself. This was the current number 1 on the genius ranking. Such combat strength wasn't inferior to the monstrous geniuses on the monster rankings. Interesting, it's getting more and more interesting. Ha ha! At that moment, laughter shook heaven and earth, and the weather changed. Everyone took a closer look. It was Xiao Jing. A ferocious, murderous intent flashed across his eyes. You'll be a threat if I let you grow. You might even make it to the monster genius ranking in the future. It'll be extremely difficult to kill you then. However, it's a worthy death for you to die by my sword today. Clang! The sound of a sword being unsheathed shook the sky like a dragon's roar, and the sages' hearts trembled. The monster on the genius ranking was about to make a move. Killing was strictly prohibited between those on the genius ranking. Xiao Jing had personally made a move, which meant that he recognized Lin Chen's threat level. He would be a threat to a world-shaking monster like him in the future. Xiao Jing held his sword. His eyes were like the starry sky, and sword chi shot out. A spiraling storm of sword chi swirled around his sword. It was a sword that looked like a dragon. It was as black as ink, and the blade was decorated with a red glow. It was like a red chain under the starry sky, thick, long, and black. That was everyone's first impression of the sword. It was so sharp that it made sages tremble. Second grade? Third grade? Fourth grade? No, it might be more than that. This was an immeasurably powerful sword. Han Yiji's face instantly turned serious. Xiao Jing from the genius ranking. This person's combat power is extremely strong. Plus, the genius rankings methods are extremely powerful. I have to block the 8 sages. The class monitor is in danger. A look of determination appeared on Han Yiji's face. Just as she was about to use some of her trump cards before the crowd could look forward to this world-shaking monster's sword, a cold shout shocked the crowd. Who dares to touch him? Rumble. A crack appeared in the sky, and rays of light shone down. Within the rays of light, translucent orange lotuses bloomed one after another. They were so beautiful that they could topple the world. As thousands of orange lotuses bloomed, they were so beautiful that they formed a beautiful scene in the world. A snow-white and delicate foot stepped on the lotuses as she descended from the sky step by step. The orange-clothed woman's beautiful face was like that of an angel. She had an angelic face, but the aura between her brows was incomparably enchanting and seductive. It was as if a single look from her could arouse any man's male desire. She also had a hot body that made people unable to take their eyes off her. Every smile and frown exuded a charming aura that could turn all living things upside down. She was extremely enchanting. Almost everyone's subconscious reaction was only one: an extremely beautiful seductress. Only a small number of sages recognized this seductress. Xiao Jing's expression immediately turned serious. The current young Valley Master of Purple Cloud King Valley, one of the top 10 beauties on the genius ranking, the Little Demon Empress. Lin Shun is under my protection. Xiao Jing, if you dare to touch him, I don't mind cripple your third leg. The Little Demon Empress smiled slightly. Her laughter was soft and light, but it was filled with killing intent. Some of the young geniuses on the genius ranking were hot-blooded and instantly reacted. Only Xiao Jing frowned. What? Are you having an affair with this Lin Shun? The Little Demon Empress brushed her hair behind her ear and said indifferently, Are you a man or a hermaphrodite? Why are you so annoying? Either fight or scram. It's none of your business, even if I have an affair with him. Why aren't you chasing after your divine flame palace's goddess and coming here to cause trouble? Chapter 11:18. Xiao Jing sneered. There's not much difference between our ranks. Don't be so arrogant. We don't know who will win yet. Boom! A sword light that looked like a dragon shattered the sky and headed straight for the Little Demon Empress. The Little Demon Empress extended a finger, and her slender, jade-like finger made a horizontal slash. A streak of orange light was drawn in the air, and the sword light fragments that filled the sky exploded. Xiao Jing stepped on the sword dragon and flashed horizontally. The Little Demon Empress pointed at the air and created thousands of lotuses. The sky changed, and they collided. All the saints sucked in a breath of cold air. Another world-shocking battle began, just like that, stunning everyone. A battle of the monstrous geniuses ranking. Every move was almost flawless and flawless. The changes in attacks sublimated the battle into a battle of art. For one Lin Chun, the number one genius of the genius ranking, the number one beauty of the sacred boundary, and the little demon empress of the monstrous geniuses ranking had appeared. This trip to the sacred burial mountain range was the right choice. First, there was the witch fighting all the saints with one blade. Then, there was the number one genius of the genius ranking fighting 8 saints alone. Now, there's a battle between the monstrous geniuses. All of them are gathered together. This Lin Chun is too strong. No matter where he goes, he will become the center of a storm. All the saints were amazed, but Ning Qingxian felt a little uneasy. Maybe it was her intuition. She felt that there was some danger spying on Lin Chun. While the saints were engaged in an earth-shattering battle, Lin Chun was fully focused on breaking through his cultivation base. His first saint acupoint was an inch below his heart. Explode acupoints. I have to control the positions of all the saint points and charge it when my life potential is at its peak. Second, third, fourth, Lin Chun memorized all the positions of the next saint points. The corner of his mouth rose slightly. He still had a trump card. In terms of mental accumulation and mental tempering, Lin Chun was confident that he was not inferior to anyone. However, he had a shortcoming, and that was talent. Honestly speaking, Lin Chun was considered to be extremely talented. However, compared to the people on the monster ranking list, he was nothing. His trump card could perfectly make up for this shortcoming. That was his doppelganger. Whether it was in battle, life-saving, or cultivation, this rune that Lin Chun regarded as his strongest trump card had never disappointed Lin Chun. When he tried to break through to the saint realm and adjusted his essence, energy, and spirit to the peak, his doppelganger would be able to cultivate at the same time as him. It would also be able to break through the same bottleneck. In other words, if Lin Chun's 5 clones attacked the saint stage together, it would be equivalent to 6 Lin Chun attacking 1 saint stage cultivator. And only Lin Chun's main body was required to advance to the next level. If one were to compare breaking through to the saint realm to pushing open a door, then while others were pushing open the door by themselves, Lin Chun was pushing open the door with 6 people. And the profits would only belong to 1 person. It didn't matter if he didn't have talent. He just had to accumulate experience and hone his skills. Lin Chun had more capital than anyone else. This was an advantage that no genius or monster on the monster ranking had. It's time. Clone go. Whoosh. 5 beams of holy light descended from the sky. Jin Dezhong, Zhen Dgu, Zhen Ding, Zhendok Shui, Shintoka Shou, and Lin Chun's clones all appeared. These are the geniuses of the Black Horse Club. They're all unharmed? Could it be that they've been staying in Lin Chun's Providence plant pouch all this time? While the crowd was puzzled, the next moment, all the geniuses were stunned. They stared at all the geniuses of the Black Horse Club as if they had seen ghosts. Boom, boom, boom. 9 colored holy light shot up into the sky. The 5 clones sat cross-legged in the void. Light flowed and condensed into 9 colored light cocoons that wrapped around themselves. At this moment, all the saints were stunned and all the young geniuses were shocked. How ridiculous was the Black Horse Club? They were all going to become saints on the same day, at the same moment. I'm not seeing things, right? What are these guys doing? 6 of them. 6 of them are going to become saints at the same time. I've lived for countless eras. I'm afraid I've never seen anything more ridiculous than this. 6 peerless geniuses are going to become saints at the same time. Oh my God, it's fine if Lin Chun is the only one who's going to become saints, but all of them are going to become saints at the same time? What are they doing in the Saint King's tomb? 6 of them becoming saints. That's terrifying when the veteran sages saw the 6 9-colored light cocoons condense. This scene almost made them suffocate. The opportunity to become a saint was an opportunity that many geniuses could only dream of. There were 100,000 geniuses on the genius ranking in every generation, and there were many who did not become saints in the end. Only a heaven-defying battle emperor like Jian Qingsheng, who had tempered his talent bloodline, experience, spirit, and every other aspect to the extreme, could become a saint as he wished. But looking at the entire 36 domains, how many Jian Qingsheng were there? Currently, there is only one publicly known genius, and that was Jian Qingsheng. And there was only one in millions of years. But everyone in the Black Horse Club was as talented as Jian Qingsheng. A question lingered in everyone's mind. Were these young people still human? Jian Qingsheng's beautiful eyes were covered with battle aura. She stared in the direction of Lin Shun, feeling complicated and amazed. She had pursued the realm her whole life and honed her swordsmanship for thousands of years. She believed that she was invincible under the Saint realm. Now, not only had someone surpassed her, but there were also 5 who were not inferior to her. Master, as you said, we can't be blinded by a single leaf. This world is very big, and there are always some extraordinary beings born between heaven and earth. Jian Qingsheng murmured, as if she was sleep-talking. Her spirit seemed to have been sublimated and became more complete. However, in the next moment, Jian Qingsheng's heart trembled. She felt a similar blood chi energy and spiritual fluctuation from where Lin Shun was. Could it be? Everyone in the Black Horse Club had become saints? Was that ridiculous? It was indeed ridiculous. Almost everyone thought that there was nothing more ridiculous than this in the world. However, the torrential mind storm and blood chi fluctuations still shattered everyone's understanding. Boom, boom, boom. The powerful blood chi fluctuation was like the roar of billions of dragons, shaking the sky and exploding on all the geniuses of the Black Horse Club. All of them were like Lin Shun, burning with blood flames. Their blood chi was so exuberant that it was close to the saint realm. Bang, bang, bang. The spiritual storm raged above the heads of the 5 geniuses, forming a spiritual dragon that was hundreds of feet long. Their spiritual power was like the sun and moon, crossing the sky and dominating the 9 states. Everyone's consciousness exploded, and their scalps went numb. Silence, an eerie silence. Other than the sound of the raging spiritual storm and the sound of the burning blood chi, everyone fell into a state where they stopped thinking. They had underestimated the monsters of the Black Horse Club, whether it was the young, arrogant, and unruly monster-level geniuses, or the old antique saints who had experienced the vicissitudes of life. At this moment, their expressions were all the same. Their mouths were wide open, and their eyeballs were almost falling out. They were stunned on the spot. There were even some elders who fainted on the spot. Everyone became saints? No, it was far more than that. No one had guessed their ambition. The purpose of the Black Horse Club was for all members to become a holy trinity. At this moment, a new page had been turned in the history of the sacred boundary. Chapter 1119. Jian Qingsheng's beautiful eyes trembled as she muttered to herself. They all of them will be sanctified on the same day. Their bodies, their minds, and their cultivation will be sanctified. The scene was extremely chaotic. Elder has fainted. Quick, quick, call the old sect leader. The old sect leader has also fainted. IF asterisk king split open. F asterisk CK me. What is this? All 3 of them as one? Crazy, this must be crazy. Many old antique Saint Realm experts fainted from fright at this scene. Since ancient times, no one had ever dared to think of something like this. No one had ever dared to do something like this. The 3 of them becoming saints was like an illusory legend. It was like a mountain that no one could climb. Everyone was looking up at this mountain. But today, 6 people had suddenly appeared to tell the world that these 6 people were going to step onto this legendary mountain at the same time. This could no longer be described as shocking. It could be said that this was a miracle. Miracle. This is a miracle, ah. This is the reincarnation of a true God sent by the heavens. Some of the old saints were in tears. The saints who believed in the true God directly knelt down in Lin Chen's direction. A reclusive 4th heaven sage realm old man's eyes lit up as he muttered excitedly. The holy world is about to change. History will be rewritten. The name of the Dark Horse Club will be passed down through the ages. Gu Chantian and the great solar sage, who were fighting with Luo Yao, couldn't help but look at Lin Shun from the corner of their eyes. Our human race actually gave birth to such a monstrous genius. Where did these little fellows come from? Aren't they a little too shocking? The two saints didn't dare to be distracted and focused fully on the battle. What a terrifying battle power. If she insists on breaking out, she can kill her way out with just a demonic sword. Even if we have twice as many people, we won't be able to stop her. If she wasn't protecting that young man, she would have broken out long ago. What is the relationship between this brat and her? The saints were secretly shocked, and their attacks were extremely cautious. With a blade in hand, Luo Yao slaughtered the group of saints until they were forced to reveal their trump cards. The 14 Saint Realm experts had to use all their strength just to stop her. Bang! The sword light exploded, and the sky was filled with blooming lotus flowers. Xiao Jing and the little demon empress both retreated 10 steps back. They had met their match. Unless there was a huge gap in the rankings or a life-and-death battle, it would be difficult to determine who was better on the demon genius list. The little demon empress' slender, jade-like fingers lightly waved and flicked as lotus flowers filled the sky. Like a golden net that covered the heavens and earth, it covered Xiao Jing's boundless sword energy. As expected of the person who was able to force Lin Shun to retreat. Lin Shun and the people around him are not simple at all. She glanced at the person beside Lin Shun, and the corners of her lips lifted slightly, revealing a charming smile. Xiao Jing glanced at Lin Shun and the others from the corner of his eyes, and his heart sank. Are the people around this brat also some shocking geniuses? Xiao Jing narrowed his eyes, and then sneered at the little demon empress. He has an ambiguous relationship with that woman from the demon race. If you dare to help him, you will be dragging Purple Cloud King Valley into danger. As a young Valley Master, don't you know how to weigh the pros and cons? The little demon empress flicked her sleeves and said indifferently, "It doesn't matter. Don't be so shameless. I always act first and report later. You should be very clear about this. Either you defeat me and get out of here, or you can get lost." After being looked down on time and time again, Xiao Jing was furious. You're just a woman relying on your status as the young Valley Master of Purple Cloud King Valley. Do you really think you're that capable? Today, I will break your mental cultivation technique. What are you trying to act all high and mighty for? I can slap you with one hand. The battle between the two monstrous geniuses became even more intense. Hidden among the saints who were watching the battle, a few hidden gazes locked onto Lin Shun. My four lords, when do we attack? The one who asked was the gray-robed man wearing a ghost mask. He had once tried to assassinate Lin Shun in the sacred burial mountain range. When the assassination failed, he immediately notified the others. The four men wearing eagle masks beside the gray-robed man with the ghost mask said coldly, "Don't be anxious. The people from Purple Cloud King Valley are still hiding in the dark. If we attack now, we might not be able to take down that brat. We have to wait. Bean Sky Talisman has already been sent to the organization. As long as the two captains arrive, even if there are experts from Purple Cloud King Valley here, they won't be able to stop us. Before that, acting rashly will only expose our whereabouts. Calm down. Assassination is only a matter of an instant. No matter how shocking this brat is, even if he has advanced into the Saint Realm, he is only at the lowest level. We can easily crush him." The two gazes in the air stared at the battlefield and couldn't help but sigh. We don't know how much of an impact this operation will have on Purple Cloud King Valley. The young lady has just returned. There's no other way. Are we two old bones going to stop the young lady? It's not like you don't know her temper. When a young lady was a 5th Tribulation Combat Emperor, she dared to challenge a group of saints. She took a fancy to a dragon egg and broke into the nest of more than 100 saint beasts to steal the dragon egg. That fearless and unrelenting attitude of hers is comparable to that of Lin Shun from the Black Horse Club. The two figures hiding in the spatial crack were the two elders from Purple Cloud King Valley who had saved Lin Shun. Speaking of which, if this brat can really complete the 3 stages of advancement, he will be qualified to marry into our Purple Cloud King Valley. Ha! We have the same thought. I am very satisfied with this brat. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the 6 9-colored light cocoons emitted a thunderous roar that resounded through the sky. The medicinal efficacy of the bloody flame Saint Dragon pill has been absorbed. Condense. Lin Shun suddenly roared from the bottom of his heart. All of his blood chi, which was burning like blood flames, suddenly broke through the limits of his body, transforming his last meridian and last bone into the flesh shell of the saintly body. Flesh shell sanctification break. Buzz. 6 blood-red flame-like dragon lights soared into the sky, stunning everyone. At the same time, a heaven-shaking might was released from the bodies of all the geniuses of the Black Horse Club. The saints who were watching the battle were stupefied. What a beautiful firework! This was the radiance of life breaking through the limits. He had successfully sanctified his physical body. The Black Horse Club had a total of 100 million dragon power points. That they succeeded flesh sanctification, the perfect flesh sanctification. His blood chi is still rising, and it's nearing 200 million dragon power. This is only the beginning of a truly perfect advancement. Their Trinity ascension to sainthood is actually going to connect perfectly. The crowd of saints shouted in excitement. The geniuses stared unblinkingly at Lin Shun and the others. Rumble. The spiritual storm above the 6 of them throbbed like a dream. It was dense and hazy spiritual light, and it emitted a misty light that was like a nebula. The saints held their breaths. Too domineering. Their bodies had just become saintly, and the remaining energy was still impacting the flesh shell. Their physical strength had improved further, and these 6 people were actually going to step into the saint realm in one go. It was as if this flesh sanctification was just the prelude to the storm. Chapter 11:20. My mind power has been tempered at the peak of the half-step saint realm since I obtained the mind power light balls dropped by the fallen saints in the sacred burial mountain range. Changing his hand seal, Lin Shun formed the grand beginning sacred scriptures cultivation hand seal and pressed down with his will. Crack, crack, crack. A clear cracking sound reverberated within Lin Chen's spiritual sea. His spiritual bridge had been broken. No, to be precise, it was more like it had split apart on its own, condensing into a more dense and vast mind power fluctuation. Buzz. Lin Chen's mind power recondensed, and then exploded into a starry sky. At this moment, a gust of wind blew outside the sacred burial mountain range, and the clouds lost their color. Everyone was shocked and horrified. This was a sign that one's mind power had entered the saint realm. It meant that another 6 saint realm wills had been born between heaven and earth. It was as if a starry sky had descended from sky. This starry sky that was condensed from spiritual energy covered a distance of 1,000 miles. The stars were as vast, boundless, indistinct, unreachable, and magnificent. What a huge amount of mind power. It's several times stronger than when I broke through. They did it. They did it again. They didn't take a risk to advance this time. It's a steady accumulation of mind power that allowed them to enter the saint realm. What a monster. It's one thing for one person to have such a strong accumulation of mind power, but all 6 of them are so steady. Could it be that they can really create a legend and advance as one? The saints' hearts trembled. The phenomenon in the sacred burial mountain range had alarmed even more powerhouses, and their eyes were fixed on this side. Boom! Lin Chen's mind sea began to evolve into a galaxy, and his mind power was as numerous as the stars. Every star was Lin Chen's mind power. Even if his body suffered a destructive blow and his mind power was severely damaged, as long as one star's mind power remained, Lin Chen's mind power would last forever. Compared to his previous mind power, the half-step Saint Realm, and the Saint Realm's mind power couldn't be compared at all. Just 1/10 of Lin Chen's mind power now was enough to crush his previous self. Up until now, Lin Chen hadn't really activated his life potential. His physical body and mind Saint Realm were both achieved naturally. However, Lin Chen's mind power was the most focused at this moment. He fell into a state of deep meditation, and his consciousness returned to his first encounter in this world. Continent of the Nine States, Spirit State, Wasteland Realm, Shenwu Sect, he had restarted his life. He had reviewed his journey and experiences. Everything Lin Chen had experienced would become the foundation for him to transform his life level. In this state, unless one was killed, one's consciousness would not awaken. Not only Lin Chen, but everyone else as well. This was the eve before the sharpening of one's soul and the accumulation of one's spirit reached its peak. Once he was interrupted, his consciousness would be in chaos and he would be injured by the backlash. His chances of entering the Saint Realm would be extremely slim. Two powerful Saint Realm experts of the Purple Cloud King Valley were secretly guarding Lin Chen from the spatial crack. They had come precisely because of this, and this was also a death order that the little demon empress had given them. At this moment, Lin Chen, who was inside the nine-colored light cocoon, was radiant and full of energy. His hair was light and his facial features were glowing. This was the result of his spirit entering the saint level. However, this was also a small detail that Lin Chen had forgotten. After one's saint rudiment stage mental energy was upgraded, in order to perfectly fuse with the host body, there would be a small amount of mental energy refinement. Spiritual power was the form of consciousness. When one's spiritual power broke through, it would also transform one's body into one that was suitable for one's current spiritual realm. Although there were not many masters present who possessed Saint Realm mental energy, many of them knew that this was just an ordinary mind tempering. However, no one, including Lin Chen, had expected that the routine mental cleansing would bring about another earthquake that shook the sacred boundary. A faint mental energy divine light washed over Lin Chen's body. His face and temperament were completely different. However, the same was true for all the geniuses of the Black Horse Club. When the Saint Realm mental energy divine light washed over their faces, a thin layer of mask that was as thin as a cicada's wing was slowly taken off. All the saints were stunned. The geniuses stared fixedly at the people of the Black Horse Club. As the mental energy refinement washed over them, their pupils trembled with fear. The mental energy refinement would wash away everything that was not suitable for the host's body, including Lin Chen's paper-thin, 1,000 illusion mask. At this moment, the masks fell off. All of them had the same youthful face. The moment the masks fell off, the minds of the people present were not enough to process it. Beside Poison Saint Yu, Sun Yuer covered her red lips with her hands. Her gentle eyes were filled with disbelief. Yu Yulan and Yu Qingli stared at the six people, their hearts trembling in shock. Country Lord Fu Sheng and Poison Saint Yu's jaws dropped. The Saint Realm experts from the Mystic Domain were shocked and stunned. The saint from the Southern Mountain Range and the geniuses from Xuanyu were dumbfounded. Lin Chen, it was still Lin Chen. These six people's faces, figures, and even auras were exactly the same. 6 Lin Chens? The scene was extremely strange. It was so quiet that no one spoke. They stared fixedly at the six people, using all their strength to examine them. Their eyeballs were about to fall out of their sockets. However, the result of everyone's investigation was the same. These six people were all Lin Chen. It was hard to tell the real from the fake. Everyone's scalp exploded. Everyone was dumbfounded. This time, everyone was really dumbfounded. The saints, geniuses, elders, and everyone else looked at each other. They were all shocked, bewildered, and stunned. No one could tell what was going on. What was going on? What the F***CK was going on? Were the people from the Black Horse Club? Could it be that they were all fake? How could this be fake? They truly existed. They were geniuses who had ascended to the genius ranking. Then, a thunderous thought struck everyone. Everyone's scalp went numb, and their hearts trembled. A saint from the mystic domain seemed to have awoken from a dream. His mouth trembled as he spoke. So it's like this. I finally know why. No wonder all the members of the Black Horse Club in the Conference of the Four Powers were level 8 alchemists. Perhaps, from the beginning to the end, there was no such thing as the Black Horse Club, and there was no such thing as the 6 geniuses. In other words, the one who refined the level 8 embryonic pill at the Conference of the Four Powers was Lin Shun. At the Conference of the Four Powers, the young elder Zhun, who created the level 8 embryonic pill, was also Lin Shun. From the southern region's Fu Saint Nation, he had achieved a magnificent feat that even an 8th-tier alchemist could not achieve. The one sword unique in supremacy, Zhun de Shui, who had restored the appearance of the Holy Nation's princess, was also Lin Shun. The one who sneaked into the Chan family's Purgatory Volcano Island and used the Purgatory Volcano as a firework for the Shintoka show was also Lin Shun. In other words, the ones who entered the Rainbow Island that day were not the 6 geniuses of the Black Horse Club. The one who really massacred the genius list was Lin Shun alone. He swept the genius list with his own strength. The one who entered the sacred Burial Mountain Range, slaughtered dozens of sacred beasts, saw through the Clear Sky Sage King's plot, and dominated the Black Horse Club, was also Lin Shun. The so-called Black Horse Club, where the 6 geniuses played with the Clear Sky Sage King and destroyed the Godstone tablet, was also done by Lin Shun alone. The monster-level geniuses on the genius list were suddenly enlightened and terrified. Why was it that in the sacred Burial Mountain Range, everyone in the Black Horse Club knew the battle skills that only one person knew? Why was it that when one person in the Black Horse Club had a breakthrough in cultivation, everyone else had a breakthrough? Because they were all the same person. This Lin Shun had deceived everyone. There was no such thing as the Black Horse Club in this world. There was only a young man who was like a god descending to the mortal world. With his almost heaven-defying legendary experience, he rose from a mystic domain and fought all the way until now. Chapter 11:21. The geniuses of the Black Horse Club were all the same person. This piece of news was like an unprecedentedly heavy bomb, blowing everyone up to the sky. Sun Moon Hall, 100 Saints Gate, Dark Sky Hall of the Southern Region, Purple Cloud Valley, and all the other forces in Embark were shocked by this news. His camouflage skills were beyond everyone's imagination, making some people admire and exclaim in admiration of him. Black. All the geniuses of the Black Horse Club are Lin Shun alone. This is too ridiculous. This old man didn't even dare to think about it. This Black Horse Club. No, this Lin Shun. How heaven-defying is he? No wonder that Child Xing said that the people of the Black Horse Club could cultivate their battle skills at lightning speed. So, he lies like this. The ancestor of the heavenly ghost fortune-telling palace was trembling all over, as if he was drunk. As a saint-level fortune-teller, he had seen all kinds of strange things. But Lin Shun's trick of crossing the sea by deception had trapped everyone. Not to mention the geniuses, even the extremely experienced old antiques were stunned by this fact. There were even a large number of people who couldn't come back to their senses. Almost no one had thought about this problem. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it at all. Every member of the Black Horse Club was clearly registered on the genius list with their ranks and titles. Because of this, no one doubted it. Even after entering the genius ranking list, it could be faked. This Lin Shun was simply heaven-defying. This kind of cloning technique that was difficult to distinguish between the real and the fake was unheard of by the knowledgeable saint-level experts. Should we make a move? This kid has too many secrets on him. Just a little bit is enough to transform us to a whole new realm. Do you want to die? Didn't you see how strong that Demoness demonic saber is? If you dare to have any ideas about Lin Shun, she will fight her way out. Even if you have 100 lives, it won't be enough for her to kill you. If you want to go crazy, go ahead. This old man won't accompany you. That Demoness saber can even swallow space easily. If you're targeted by her, you won't be able to escape unless you have the strength of the Tianming Saber Saint. Some of the restless saint-level experts wanted to make a move, but their companions and elders quickly stopped them or retreated. The situation was extremely chaotic. For Lin Chun, the number one on the genius ranking list and the demon ranking list had come. Who knew what would happen if the fight continued? Then, some saint-level experts looked especially solemn, and even their bodies were trembling. It was extremely frightening. Looking at the geniuses on the genius ranking who had cultivated for 1,000 years, each time they went into seclusion for 8 to 10 years, it was as simple as eating and drinking. As for him, he was just a young man in his early 20s, not even 100 years old. Compared to a genius who had cultivated for 1,000 years, he was like a child. But at such a young age, he had already reached the level of a saint-level body, saint-level spirit, saint-level alchemist, and saint-level blacksmith. No, to be precise, he was equal to 6 saint-level alchemists and 6 saint-level blacksmiths. How terrifying would the future of such a young man be? No one dared to imagine, just like how they didn't dare to believe that they could witness the Trinity becoming saints. Lin Chen's potential was immeasurable. So Prince Lin Chun is him. Yu Yulan was intoxicated. Unfortunately, the falling flowers were intentional, but the flowing water was unintentional. No wonder I always have an inexplicable fear when I see Sir Lin Chun. It turns out that he is the Jundak Shui. He is the Jundak Shui. Yu Qingli pursed her red lips. Her heart was filled with complex emotions. Sun Yuet stared at the 6 Lin Chun. Her beautiful eyes were blurred, and the light in her eyes seemed to be bright and dim. No wonder, when she was on the Rainbow Island, she had an illusion that Lin Chun was a little like the Jundak Shui young master. So he was him. He had always been Lin Chun. Poison Saint Yu suddenly asked Country Lord Fu, "How many acupuncture points do you think this saint's son-in-law of yours can explode?" The country lord was stunned, and his mouth was full of bitterness. He smiled bitterly. This title of saint's son-in-law, my Fu Saint country really doesn't deserve it. With Lin Chen's performance and the potential he had shown, not to mention a rank 4 saint country, he would be treated with the highest respect in any rank 6 force. The country lord thought for a while and said, "Maybe someone who can challenge the demon genius list but might not succeed, exploding 6 saint points consecutively. Of course, I can't be sure. The strongest genius in my Fu Saint country only managed to explode 3 saint points in history." The innumerable green palaces A.O. Qing stroked his beard and nodded. "And I agree. This old man also believes that the result will be between 5 and 6 saint points. The more saint points one explodes, the more difficult it becomes. From the 5th saint point onwards, every step after that is on the level of creating history." Poison Saint Yu looked at Lin Chen deeply and said, "No, maybe it's more than that." Poison Saint Yu's evaluation of Lin Chen seemed to be extremely high. While the saints were in an uproar and their hearts were in turmoil, Lin Chen, as the person in question, didn't notice it at all. This was the moment in his life when his life potential was stimulated to the extreme and nothing would allow him to be distracted. Lin Chen's consciousness, thoughts, fighting spirit, and life potential were rising higher and higher, becoming clearer and clearer. The situation is so complicated now. If I can only explode 4 or 5 saint points, it will be hard to get out of this situation and turn the tide. I want a higher, more heaven-defying advancement. For this, I will bet everything on it. Lin Chun was burning his boats, and an unstoppable aura was brewing in his heart. Lin Chen's 9 tribulations fate will started to melt and flow throughout Lin Chen's body, fusing with the ancient god's nirvana power to form a brand new power, and like a dragon, it gathered an inch below his heart. Boom! Endless 9-color divine light rose from Lin Chen's body, and everyone held their breaths. At this moment, Lin Chen's 6 clones gathered power together and aimed it an inch below his heart. The hexagonal star's light became even more dazzling. Lin Chen's aura was like an overturning heaven and earth, overturning heaven and earth. His blood and chi were like millions of dancing dragons, roaring and howling. His consciousness was as vast as the stars, and it was as if he was opening up a new world. Now is the time. The first Saint Point, open for me. All of Lin Chen's 9 tribulations' origins were like the sharpest spears in the world. Under the condensation of his main body and clones, they burst forth with the most powerful aura and suddenly collided with the hexagonal star an inch below his heart. Chi! Bang! This collision was like the eruption of millions of volcanoes. This explosion was like millions of giant dragons breaking through the sky. At this moment, Lin Chen's entire body shone with divine light, and his aura surged and surged, sweeping across all directions. He and his clones suddenly shattered the 9-colored light cocoon covering their bodies. Bang! 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 The space crystal wall was shattered into countless pieces, and the young man bathed in the 9-color divine light was reborn. Lin Chun had reached the saint realm, the moment when the 3 of them became one. Chapter 11:22. Just the opening of the first saint's acupoint was enough to shatter heaven and earth. The mountain sea prison could not even compare to 1% of it. Lin Chen's aura had become the center point of the sacred burial mountain range. This old man has never seen such a terrifying phenomenon of opening the first saint aperture. This kid is 2F* king strong. We've all underestimated him. He didn't even activate his own potential when his body and spirit reached the saint level. It's not over. It's not over yet. He's starting to explode his acupoints. Countless saints turned pale with fright, and for the first time, they lost their composure and roared. Bam! The second saint's acupoint opened like a dragon, soaring into the sky. Its aura was no less powerful than the first one. Lin Chen's robe fluttered in the wind. His robe fluttered in the wind as divine radiance shot up into the sky and illuminated 1,000 miles. His imposing aura swallowed the world as if he was a god that had descended to the mortal world. His 5 clones shone with 9-colored divine light. Their hair fluttered in the wind. Their pure faces glowed with the radiance of new life. All 5 of them closed their eyes. Transcendence. Bam! Kaboom! The third saint's acupoint exploded. Saint Chi flowed through the next saint's acupoint and nourished Lin Chen's body. Lin Chen's body seemed to have opened up a universe. 3 acupoints exploded in a row, shaking heaven and earth. Fourth saint's acupoint, open for me. With a thought, Lin Chun and his doppelganger gathered their strength at the same time. Saint Chi rushed into the position of the next saint acupoint. Bam! 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 This time, it was a chain explosion. Lin Chen's 4th, 5th, and 6th saints' acupoints exploded. He really broke through. Oh my god, that's a record that many of the monsters on the monster ranking board failed to break. He's already at the 4th saint's acupoint, and he can still reach the 6th one. Oh my god, does he still have energy left? There must be more. The 6th saint's acupoint exploded consecutively. There's hope for him to reach the 7th. Both Heavenly Ghost Divination Palace and Emperor Fu Sheng lost their composure and shouted. What? Xiao Jing of the Absolute God sect had an ugly expression on his face. Back then, he had only exploded 5 saint acupoints, but that was already enough for him to be ranked on the Monster Genius list. Now, Lin Chun had actually surpassed his result from that year. This mortal, whom he regarded as trash, and as insignificant as an aphid, was actually standing at a higher starting point than him. Ha ha! Xiao Jing, don't put on that dog face. How could the man that the little demon empress, want to protect be an ordinary man? Let me tell you, he is far more than that. The little demon empress was in a carefree mood, and her charming smile could captivate all living things. When she looked at Lin Chun from the corner of her eyes, her heart slightly throbbed. You can even force back that Lin Chun. Lin Chun, you should be far more powerful than this. Ao Ching of the innumerable Green Palace couldn't help but hold her breath. Exploding 6 saint points in a row was already an extremely heaven-defying achievement. The early stage of the Saint Realm had 1 to 3 saint points. Middle stage, 4 to 6 saint points. In the later stage, he would have 7 to 9 saint points. The 10th saint point was the peak of the first heaven realm. The 11th saint point was the second heaven realm. 4 to 6 saint points was the middle stage of the first heaven realm. Lin Chun was already at the peak of the middle stage of the first heaven realm. The 7th saint point was the late stage of the first heaven realm. Exploding one's acupoints in a row was countless times more difficult than ascending to the heavens. This was a watershed point in the cultivation of a realm. Before everyone could recover from their shock, Lin Chun's performance seemed to have exceeded everyone's expectations. Lin Chun and his 5 avatars' auras soared, and their saint energy filled the sky as they collided. Bang! Boom! Boom! When the 9-colored holy light exploded, the 4 seas were leveled, and the 8 desolates and 6 directions gathered. The 7th saint acupoint exploded. Boom! Lin Chun's body was surrounded by 7 hexagonal stars, and his might was shocking. All the saints and geniuses felt their scalps explode. 7 saint points exploded in a row. What kind of peerless talent was this? Throughout the history of the sacred boundary, how many people in the true saint realm could achieve this? A new star is about to rise in the sacred boundary's 36 regions. Another peerless genius is about to descend in the sacred boundary. The 2 retired saints burst into tears. They were so excited that their eyes were filled with tears. However, Lin Chun's actions were never logical. A ball of dazzling light appeared in the space between Lin Chun's eyebrows. As expected, after my physical body reaches the saint realm and my mental energy reaches the saint realm, both will be of great help to me. His physical body reaching the saint realm would allow Lin Chun's life force to break through the limits. Coupled with the nirvana energy of the ancient god realm, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. Entering the saint realm could greatly improve Lin Chun's spiritual sense, allowing his fighting spirit, awareness, courage, and perception to reach a whole new level. Lin Chun's spiritual sense and saint force instantly locked onto the location of the 8th saint acupoint. 8th saint point, break it! Lin Chun's roar shook the heavens and the earth. He mobilized all the power of his 5 clones, and all kinds of saint energy turned into a mighty force that could destroy all 3,000 worlds. It rushed into the 8th saint point. The space shook and trembled. As the wind and clouds changed, the mental energy of Lin Chun and his clones shone down millions of beams of 9-colored light. Rumble. Bam. The 8th saint point opened. At this moment, all the excitement, joy, jealousy, anger, and envy stopped. The voices and discussions of the leaders and elders from the Southern Domain, Man Domain, Wonder Domain, Yin Domain, Xuan Yu, Yellow Domain, Sword Domain, and so on came to an abrupt end. The crowd and sages floating in the air looked as if they had just seen a ghost. They stared at Lin Chun and the other clones in disbelief. The 8th saint point? 8 saint points exploded in a row. Countless people felt dizzy from the shock. Before they could even react, Lin Chun had already exploded his 8th saint acupoint. A god had descended. The saints almost went crazy. Is this guy still human? The more saint points explode, the more terrifying it is. I felt it very clearly back then. The later stages of saint points exploding isn't just a matter of talent. It's the tempering of the soul and the accumulation of mental energy. This kid's experiences and encounters so far must be far beyond our imagination. Look at him now. His aura is like a rainbow swallowing the heavens. He has a feeling of dominating the world, and his aura is still ancient. He doesn't look like someone who exploded 8 saint points at all. What on earth did he go through to be able to reach such a level? Han Yiji, who was trapped in a difficult battle, felt Lin Chen's breakthrough and smiled. As expected of the class monitor. The little demon empress smiled. As expected, you didn't disappoint me, Lin Chen. When the two Purple Cloud King Valley's elders who were protecting Lin Chen in the dark witnessed this scene with their own eyes, they sucked in a breath of cold air. Back then, the first-generation founder of Purple Cloud King Valley, the existence who left behind a shocking legend from the sacred boundary, had never reached this height. Potential was potential, and strength was strength. But at least Lin Chen now had the possibility of reaching the peak. In other words, this kid's potential has already surpassed the strongest ancestor of Purple Cloud King Valley. The two elders' hearts were in a perilous situation. Young Mrs. Eyes were indeed sharp. This kid's future was limitless. Chapter 1123. The ancestor of the heavenly ghost divination palace trembled. To be able to explode 8 acupoints in a row, what exactly did this Lin Chen experience? A fortune teller of his level had seen too many strange and bizarre events in history. Within the scope of my ability, looking at the history of the sacred boundary for nearly 10 million years, which monster on the demon genius list exploded 5 or 6 acupoints in a row when they became a saint? They didn't experience killing many saints. These monsters even went against the heavens and killed saints when they were 5th Tribulation combat emperors. What kind of mental training and mental accumulation did this Lin Chen experience to be able to explode 8 saint acupoints in a row? Countless old saints were shocked, startled, and dumbfounded. They racked their brains, but still couldn't imagine what this kid had experienced to be able to accumulate so much energy to explode 8 saint acupoints in a row. Everyone was looking forward to the moment when Lin Chen came out of seclusion. His entire body was enshrouded in holy light. His flesh shell was condensed, and the mental strength of all the clones was condensed together. The 5 clones and Lin Chen's main body were all sitting cross-legged with their eyes closed. Everyone was stunned. He didn't come out. Suddenly, another change occurred, with Lin Chen as the center, abruptly rising. Boom, boom, boom. The wind and clouds changed, and the mountains and rivers trembled. It was as if he wouldn't stop until he shocked everyone to death. Lin Chen's actions never followed common sense. At this moment, 4 dazzling polar stars appeared in the void above his head. Everyone present sucked in a breath of cold air. The 4 treasures, with different colors and energy fluctuations, were like the rotation of stars. They were complete low-grade, odd crystals. 4 low-grade, odd crystals. Dark type, fire type, earth type, and water type. This kid actually took out 4 low-grade, odd crystals in one go. What was he trying to do? The first to react was A.O. Qing from the innumerable Green Palace. The power of odd crystals can help the host to break through to the saint realm to a certain extent. But does he want to refine 4 low-grade odd crystals on the spot? An unprecedented and terrifying thought rose in everyone's hearts. At this moment, Lin Chen opened his eyes, and they shone brightly. The power of the odd crystal entered the body. The 4 low-grade odd crystals rotated like polar stars and entered Lin Chen's body. With the heavenly cycle shift, the mountains and seas roared. The 5 clones and Lin Chen's main body all suppressed the 4 low-grade odd crystals. One of Lin Chen's eyes was red and the other orange. The Tai Heaven fueling technique was activated to the extreme. With his current cultivation and the power of his mental cultivation method, it was not something that the War Emperor and the 9 calamities of creation could compare to. The 4 odd crystals entered his body and were instantly controlled by Lin Chen. His elemental attribute value skyrocketed. Received 78,000 advanced fire energy points, 67,000 advanced water energy points, 64,500 advanced dark energy points, 69,700 advanced earth energy points. After absorbing 4 odd crystals, all advanced elemental attribute values were increased. Boom! Lin Chen's aura rose to a whole new height. Lin Chen's eyes completely blossomed with a domineering aura that looked down upon the heavens and the universe. Everyone who was staring at him was shaken to the core by his gaze. In terms of spiritual accumulation, when he was in the 9 states, Lin Chen dared to challenge a false god with his war emperor cultivation. When geniuses of the same age were complacent about being able to challenge those of a higher level, Lin Chen's opponents were the saints, the most vicious criminals in the holy purgatory. After Lin Chen entered the sacred boundary, his opponents were not the geniuses at the bottom of the genius list, but the saints. From killing 4 saints in seconds on Dark Island, to facing the pursuit of a group of saints, to killing 14 saints in 1 slash on Chelan Island. Then, he fought against a 4th-level saint, barged into the sacred burial mountain range, and slaughtered sacred beasts like slaughtering pigs. Who could compare to such experience and accumulation? In terms of spiritual tempering, Lin Chen broke through the situation and went head-to-head with the legendary Clear Sky Sage King. Even when facing the will of a god, he still revealed his edge. Even the divine might could not suppress him. Such courage, such fighting spirit, how many people had there been in the past and present? And that Lin Xingqian, I can feel that I will have a battle with him. I have never believed in my destiny. If he appears in front of me again, I will defeat him. Lin Chen's potential was condensed to the peak. Now is the time. 9th holy point, open for me. At this moment, Lin Chen poured all his sacred power into the 5 odd crystals in his body and activated the power of the 5 odd crystals. All of them poured into the position of the 9th holy point. Boom! Bang! This explosion was like the death of a new star. It was like a singularity in the universe had exploded, and a new scene appeared in Lin Chen's body. Bang! 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 The power this time was 10 times more terrifying than any of the previous times. Fortunately, the saints were prepared and immediately activated their defenses to block it. Heaven and earth collapsed, the sun and moon lost their colors, and everything was overturned and destroyed. The entire heaven and earth seemed to have been turned upside down by Lin Chen's explosive aura. The battle between the little demon empress and Xiao Jing was interrupted by this explosion. Han Yiji's spiritual shield was shattered into nothingness, and her battle with the 8 saints was forcefully interrupted. The only ones who were not affected were Luo Yao, and the other saints who were hundreds of miles away. Even with the protection of the holy light, most people still felt their eardrums vibrate and almost lost their hearing. They felt as if the world was spinning. Smoke and dust filled the sky, and a portion of the miasma in the sacred burial mountain range was dispersed. Countless people looked over and saw 6 tall and slender youths standing in the air. Their bodies were shining with 9 hexagonal stars, as if they contained heaven and earth and swallowed the sun, moon, and stars. Silence, a strange silence. Everyone was scared stiff. Looking at the 9 shining holy points of Lin Chen and his avatars, they looked as if they had seen a ghost and were so scared that they could not say a word. 9 consecutive holy points exploded. Ning Qingshuan's hanging heart finally calmed down. Lin Chen used the power of his avatars and odd crystals to finally break through the shackles and reach an unprecedented peak. Huff! Lin Chen let out a long breath. When he opened his eyes again, there was a divine light in them. He stood on the holy dragon, and the Saint Realm Dragon Phoenix was at his feet. The 9-colored divine light was like a rainbow piercing the sun, and the star-like spiritual power enveloped the sky. The youth was dressed in a silver robe, and his eyes were overbearing as he looked down at everyone. Ha ha! Ha ha! Lin Chen looked up to the sky and laughed heartily. There was a sense of dominance in his laughter, but he was not conceited. This is the holy power of the Saint Realm, the pure power of the Saint Body, and the spiritual power of the Saint Realm. How wonderful It is no longer temporary and ethereal. It belongs to me forever. Lin Chen's expression was intoxicated. Right now, he felt as if he had become a completely new species. He could affect heaven and earth with a single thought or move. Now, even if he casually activated his holy aura, the lethality of the finger was countless times more terrifying than the 9 tribulation star that erupted when he was a 5th tribulation combat emperor. It was no longer a surge in strength, but a complete transformation of the level of life to a whole new realm. Lin Shen looked around at Luo Yao, the little demon empress, and Han Yiji in the distance. Looking at the thousands of saints who were thousands of miles away, everyone who was swept by his gaze felt a bone-chilling sense of crisis, as if Lin Shen had seen through all their secrets. The saints were scared. Lin Shen's heart was no longer stirred. Not long ago, he had to fight with all his might against a few sages and fight to the death. The corners of Lin Shen's mouth curled up slightly. Now it's just so. He could come and go from the thousands of saints in his sight. The thousands of saints present could no longer threaten Lin Shen. In this vast, sacred boundary, he was no longer an insignificant mortal. Lin Shen turned his gaze and looked at Shao Jing of the God Extinction sect. Their gazes met in midair, and the space seemed to distort. Lin Shen's mouth curled up, and his arrogance overflowed. Demon Genius List? I heard you wanted to kill me? Chapter 1124. The little demon empress smiled charmingly and whistled at Lin Shen. Who asked you to woo the girl of my dreams? She is the most monstrous existence in the history of the Divine Flame Palace. Lin Shen came to a realization when he heard what the little demon empress said. He looked at Shao Jing and said, I will definitely go to the Divine Flame Palace. As for you, you can either scram or I will play with you. No matter how strong your potential is, you have to survive. You are just a late first heaven true saint. This young master can beat you to death with one hand. Shao Jing sneered coldly. Rumble. Lin Shen's doppelgangers released a powerful aura. Consumed 399 mid-grade talent points. Stolen attribute points. 400 fire attribute energy. 450 high-grade rune energy. 200 high-grade rune energy. Lin Shen used the divine theft omen on all the true saints within the range of his innate talent and stole a considerable amount of attribute points. His rune energy was currently at 0 points. If he wanted to fight, he would need to replenish his attribute points. Lin Shen raised his eyebrows at Shao Jing. Why don't you give it a try? In a one-on-one battle, Lin Shen wasn't a match for someone on the monstrous talents list. However, if he attacked Shao Jing together with all his doppelgangers, even if he couldn't win, he would be able to give Shao Jing a taste of his own medicine. Shao Jing's expression didn't change, but the killing intent in his heart soared. 9 acupuncture points. This brat's potential is beyond common sense. In the future, as long as he doesn't die, he will have the qualifications to enter the Divine Flame Palace. The little demon empress stopped Shao Jing and waved her hand at Lin Shen. Leave this fellow to me. You settle your own matters first. The corner of Shao Jing's mouth twitched. Everyone's understanding of Lin Shen's domineering attitude was once again refreshed. A first heaven true saint dared to challenge a monster on the monstrous talents list. This brat really couldn't be judged with common sense. Lin Shen is indeed very strong. I've heard that he has many orange-grade battle techniques. In addition to his clones, I don't think anyone can threaten him unless there are at least 10 second heaven true saints. Not necessarily. Exploding 9 acupoints is indeed a terrifying and heaven-defying talent. But in terms of the overall situation, it's a different matter. The most important thing right now isn't Lin Shen. No matter how strong he is, he's only at the first heaven true saint realm. It's impossible for him to turn the tide of the battle. The most important thing right now is the battle situation of the female devil. We know very well how difficult it is to fight against a saint realm expert. Any mid-second heaven true saint with 14 saint points would be able to suppress Lin Chun. The sages of the various forces saw through the situation at a glance. The adversity had not changed. If Lin Chun wanted to break out of the encirclement, it would depend on the battle situation of the devil cultivator woman. That's Lin Chun, son of Heaven Yin's target. 9 exploded acupoints. Truly terrifying. No wonder he became the prey of Son of Heaven Yin. At this moment, 2 gloomy gray shadows appeared beside the gray-robed man out of thin air. He hurriedly cupped his fists respectfully. "Welcome, captains." The other 4 sages bowed respectfully. "And we just happened to assassinate a target in the southern region. The 2 of us are the fastest to arrive. Since Son of Heaven Yin has spoken, we will chase after him and kill him in one strike." The distorted gray shadow ordered, "Let's do it. Leave the people from Purple Cloud King Valley to us. You guys take down that brat." Lin Chun looked deeply at the little demon empress before turning to look at Han Yiji. Her clothes were whiter than snow, and her eyes were as bright as the stars. The gentleness between her brows revealed a hint of shyness. Her smile revealed a beauty that could cause the downfall of a country to pale in comparison. Lin Chun was slightly dazed. He rubbed his chin and laughed naughtily. "Not bad, Yiji. You look pretty good in men's clothing." Han Yiji was stunned for a moment before bursting into laughter. Yes, handsome Lin did not know that Han Yiji was a man. Han Yiji was a cute boy. The entire class 66 knew that. Class monitor Lin was the only one who was kept in the dark. It was no wonder. When he first met Han Yiji, his shy and timid appearance was even more lovable than a girl's. Class monitor, Han Yiji smiled faintly and did not expose him. "You've really turned the world upside down this time." Lin Chun pulled Han Yiji behind him and said with a smile, "Then let's make it bigger." His gaze fell on the 5 saints from Sun Moon Hall and the 100 Saints Gate, as well as the 3 saints from Dark Sky Hall. His fighting spirit erupted. "You all wanted to ambush me, Lin Chun, when I was in seclusion. Looks like I'll have to give you all a big present." Lin Chun circulated his mental cultivation technique and prepared to go all out. "Be careful. Someone is ambushing us. It's the people from 9 Shadows." 2 voices entered Lin Chun's ears. They were the 2 elders from Purple Cloud King Valley. Bang, bang, bang. A terrifying energy wave exploded from tens of thousands of meters high in the sky, shaking the space and causing it to fly everywhere. Everyone was shocked. This was a destructive force that could only be caused by someone at the 4th Heaven True Saint realm. Lin Chun's sharp senses picked up the killing intent, and he reacted at the same time as Han Yiji. "Why are you sneaking around?" "Scram!" Lin Chun roared. His main body and his 5 avatars gave a single thought, and the annihilation spiritual light beam shot out. Chi! Rumble! The beam of light shattered, and 4 figures appeared in the void. Their auras were extremely strange, and they gave Lin Chun a sinister feeling. What sharp senses! This brat is a little troublesome. Attack him in close combat. End the battle quickly. He's just a 1st Heaven True Saint. A battle between true saints could change in the blink of an eye. Seeing that someone had ambushed Lin Chun, the 8 saints from Dark Sky Hall came back to their senses and charged towards Han Yiji. They didn't want him to help Lin Chun. "Class monitor, leave these 8 fellows to me. You focus on dealing with them." Han Yiji transmitted her voice. Her deep eyes became especially pitch black, as if she was looking into a boundless hell. In that instant, Han Yiji's spiritual power rose explosively. It was more than twice as strong as before. If it was said that Han Yiji could only barely stop the 8 saints before, then the current him could fight them head-on and not be at a disadvantage. Roar! The 2 of them had a tacit understanding, and Lin Chun left his back to Han Yiji. He stepped on the holy dragon, and it soared into the sky with a domineering aura. Just 6 1st Heaven True Saints. You're courting death. The auras of the 4 true saints soared, and holy light rose into the sky. Only second heaven true saints could see the four of them. They were all second heaven true saints with 16 to 20 saint points, and they were all veteran true saints. The four true saints' palms glowed with holy chi, and dozens of flying daggers shot towards Lin Chun. The flying daggers were as light as snowflakes, and wherever they passed, there was no earth-shattering aura. They only sliced through the crystal walls of space. Huh? What kind of trash battle technique is this? Let this martial teach you what the ultimate flying dagger technique is. Lin Chen's aura was overflowing as the holy chi in the 9 sacred caves was injected into his 5 odd crystals, causing the odd crystal power to surge out. Lin Chun flicked his wrist horizontally and flung out his palm. 4 flying daggers as thin as cicada wings appeared. A Sage Realm cultivator who used the Vanishing Shadow flying dagger 4 times in a row would no longer have to bear the aftermath of collapse. Activated Blink Shadow consumed 292 intermediate talent points. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 20 flying daggers that looked like streaks of light on a horizontal surface were like shadows, releasing a ferocious force that could cut off all means of retreat and an unstoppable mental power. Lin Chen's flying dagger contained an aura of death. It contained the power of mental strength, pure strength, and odd crystal holy chi. The streaks of light struck the 4th saint's assassination daggers with unerring accuracy. Rip, bang, bang, bang. Space was torn apart as the flying daggers intertwined. The 2 daggers collided and canceled each other out. Lin Chen's battle intent surged as the holy chi in the 9 sacred caves surged into the sky. His eyes revealed a domineering aura that looked down on the world. So this is my holy power. It feels so good. Lin Chen's combat strength left the 4 true saints speechless. The thousands of veteran true saints were stunned. One person withstood the killing moves of 4 true saints? Something's not right. How is this brat as strong as a ghost? This doesn't seem like the combat strength of a first heaven true saint with 9 sacred caves. Chapter 1125. While the 4 saints were distracted, Lin Chun held the Dark Phoenix spear in one hand and stepped on the dragon to fly up. When he injected his holy chi, the 2nd grade holy spear finally shone with its unique sharpness, golden brilliance piercing the sky. This was Lin Chen's first battle after becoming a saint, so he wouldn't be afraid no matter how many saints came. With a twist of the spear, Lin Chen's spear went all out. Rumble! Streaks of imperial golden rainbow light streaked across the sky, crushing everything in its path. The power of the saint power was earth-shattering. Sword Fury Sky, Mirror Moon Imperial God. The 4 clones activated the 2 offensive runes and went all out. 5 types of odd crystal power were activated one after another, and the half-orange tier battle skills displayed the power of an orange tier battle skill. It was as if the mountains and seas were shaking, and it was earth-shattering. The 4 9 Shadows assassins finally showed a serious expression. They held the giant scythe in their hands and slashed across the sky, splitting the attacks in all directions. Lin Chun wasn't afraid of the 4 saints at all. He led the 4 clones straight into their close combat area. They were proficient in assassination and had great movement techniques, but the plus 15 dragon flash of the clones wasn't to be trifled with either. He actually clashed head-on with the 9 Shadows assassins. Lin Chen's Holy Phoenix Wings and Dragon Flash were even more terrifying when used together. It was almost comparable to an orange tier movement technique, and he clashed head-on with the strongest 9 Shadows assassin. This person was a 2nd level Saint Realm Perfection with 20 Saint points. 9 Shadows, first-rate expert, Heartbreak Red. Lin Chun raised the Dark Phoenix Spear, and the tip of the spear glowed with an indestructible golden light. With a series of stabs, the spear pierced through the spatial crystal wall. Heartbreak Red's black robe was like the night, and his holy scythe tore at Lin Shun from below with a moon fishing style. With a flick of the spear, both sides were shaken apart. With a stomp of his feet, his dragon body turned into a ray of light and shot into Lin Chen's body. Lin Shun decisively used the Azure Dragon possession, and the Imperial Golden Chi and Everlasting Azure Light covered his entire body, turning the Holy Dragon into his defensive capital. Nine Shadow Killer pushed out his giant scythe with lightning speed and charged forward. Lin Chen raised his head to avoid the attack. Who would have thought that he would use his scythe to hook Lin Chen's back? If Lin Chen was hit by this attack, even if he didn't die, he would lose his ability to fight. Whoosh! With a flash of afterimages, Lin Chen narrowly avoided the attack. The Dark Phoenix spear in his hand spun and smashed towards the top of his head. The power of the fire-type odd crystal was activated, and the tip of the spear rolled up waves of fire. Bang! The sides slashed down, tearing apart the waves of fire. The two of them suddenly clashed head-on in a melee. Talents triggered: assault, laceration, super chaos. The two of them turned into two streaks of holy light as they shuttled back and forth. Their spears flashed, and the scythe's shadows overlapped. Layers of holy light exploded as they fought from the sky to the ground, and then from the entrance of the sacred burial mountain range to the sky. Bang! 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 Clang! 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 Every time they collided, the shockwaves would shatter the crystal walls of the space and cause the ground to collapse. Although Lin Chen was at a disadvantage, he was still fighting more and more bravely. He was actually on par with Heartbreak Red. The moment the four saints were tied down, Lin Chen's fifth clone pulled the Sky Azure Imperial Thunder Sacred Bow. Lightning flashed, and aurora flowed. Feather of auspicious light. Lin Chen's clone pulled the bowstring, and after pulling the bowstring to full strength, he shot out light feathers. The aurora-like arrow chi fell like meteors and split into five, shooting straight at the 4-9 Shadow Assassins, forcing them to activate their second sacred weapon or defensive skills. Lin Chen's sacred point formed an acupoint that appeared in the peach blossom plant pouch. While he was absorbing silver Saint Origin coins to replenish his lost holy chi, he was also using combat skills. He wasn't weak at all. He had plenty of silver Saint Origin coins. Haha, great. Come on, let's see who can last longer. My Black Horse Club isn't afraid of a protracted battle. Lin Chen's laughter shook the heavens, and he was extremely arrogant. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? This old man has seen some of the top 1,000 geniuses in the genius ranking who have cultivated an orange-ranked mental cultivation technique. Even with their strength, they were only able to fight against second-level true saints with 11 saint points when they had 10 saint points. He only has 9 saint points. How can he fight against so many people? Isn't this too ridiculous? How can this brat's combat strength be so monstrous? Many of the veteran true saints couldn't help but tremble in fear. Their scalps went numb, and their hair stood on end. Lin Chen's 5 clones and his main body made up 6 first-level true saints with 9 saint points. How could they fight against 4 second-level true saints with 16 saint points and above? They were even evenly matched. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens for a true saint to fight against someone with a higher cultivation level. The amount of holy chi a saint point could determine the outcome of a battle, not to mention the important divide between first and second level true saints. With every additional saint point, a true saint would undergo a qualitative transformation. They acknowledged Lin Chen's talent and knew that Lin Chen cultivated an orange-ranked mental cultivation technique. They also knew that Lin Chen had cultivated several types of orange-ranked combat techniques. They also didn't overlook the fact that he had refined 4 low-grade odd crystals. Many of the combat techniques he had used just now had the shadow of orange-ranked combat techniques. Even so, wanting to challenge 4 veteran true saints with 16 saint points and above with 9 saint points was complete nonsense. According to their estimates, even if he used the power of the odd crystals and orange-ranked mental cultivation technique, each Lin Shun could at most challenge a second-level true saint with 12 saint points. That was already the limit. That's not right. Did you guys notice? His holy chi is dense and overbearing. It's not at the level of 9 saint points. It's at least the power of 14 saint points. Those with keen eyesight immediately notice the abnormality. His holy chi is dense. There really is a problem. No, look carefully. Look carefully again. This kid is using orange-ranked techniques to squander his holy chi. It's too fast, but there are no signs of it drying up at all. In a battle between true saints, other than a life and death battle, it was rare for them to use up all the holy chi in their saint points. This was equivalent to running out of ammunition and food and cutting off one's own escape route. It was extremely difficult to replenish holy chi. With the mental cultivation technique's efficiency of refining heaven and earth spirit chi into holy chi, even an orange-ranked mental cultivation technique would take more than 10 years to fill up a saint point with holy chi. The common methods to replenish holy chi were: 1. Consume a sacred pill. 2. Refine large amounts of silver and gold sacred origin coins. 3. Absorb strange energy of the same attribute between heaven and earth. During the battle on Chilan Island, Lin Shun had used the ultimate return to origin talent the entire time. It could only heal his injuries, but not his holy chi. This was one of the reasons why he had tried his best. But now, Lin Shun was wantonly squandering his holy chi. There were no signs of it drying up at all. Lin Shun had Tai emptiness and 3 spiritual plants of providence that could produce silver sacred origin coins. He was not afraid of the consumption of holy chi at all. Clang! The tip of the spear swept across the sky and knocked away Heartbreak Red's scythe. Immediately after, he swung his right fist. The wind from the fist was swift and fierce. Other than the 7 types of dragon power, it was actually mixed with vigorous spiritual power. Heartbreak Red pushed his palm horizontally, and with a bang, a mushroom cloud of 100 jong high was formed between the two of them. Strong gales swept in all directions, and the two of them were forced back. Heartbreak Red retreated 7 steps, and Lin Chun retreated 10 steps. Lin Chun shook his numb arm. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. The warm-up is over. The seeds of victory have been sown. It's time to play my trump card. System, convert all the blank attributes into strengthening points. Activate automatic strengthening and strengthen my Phoenix Spear, Qing Tian Sword, Azure Moon, and Azure Imperial Thunderbow. 7. 5 million blank attribute points have been converted. Host has 68. 85 million points. Automatic strengthening begins. Consumed 13,442 strengthening points. Phoenix Spear plus 1 strengthening successful. Consumed 89,029 strengthening points. Phoenix Spear plus 11 strengthening successful. Chapter 11:26. At the same time, Lin Chen's heart was in a blurry, grayish-white space. In Tai space, there was a scene that only Lin Chen could see. Tai space had the full power of a cultivator, and in that blurry space, there were 9 majestic hexagonal stars floating in the air. There were 9 saint points. 9 saint points in Tai space, plus 9 saint points in Lin Chen's body. In other words, the Saint Chi that Lin Chen and his clones could use wasn't just 9 saint points. Instead, it was a total of 18 saint points. This was the reason why Lin Chen dared to challenge those above his level. After countless eras, the Tai Sky technique's heaven-defying ability was finally revealed from Lin Chen's body. Heartbreak Red said coldly as it prepared its killer move, "I have to say, you really are a monster. No wonder Een, son of heaven, sent us out to kill you in advance." Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. Een, son of heaven. Back then, when the ancient god was heavily injured and sneaked into the sacred boundary, he had taken in a disciple who was extremely talented and was listed on the monster ranking. This person was Ean's son of heaven. So you are Ean's son of heaven's lackey. What a pity. You will definitely die today. Otherwise, I would have let you pass a message to him that I will find him sooner or later. Lin Shen smiled faintly. Heartbroken Red suddenly faced the sky and laughed loudly. You will never understand the greatness of Ean's son of heaven. Dai Lin Shun. 100 Saint Yama Kings laugh in unison. Wong, Wong, Wong. Behind Heartbreak Red, the saint light dimmed as the 20 saint points sent out a huge amount of saint chi, turning into a sea of blood. The sea of blood transformed into hundreds of illusions that surrounded Lin Shun. His face, which was originally in his 40s, started to age rapidly. His hair turned white, and he became hunchbacked, looking like a skinny old man. It's the Hell Yama technique. Are these guys from Nine Shadows? King Fusheng's expression changed slightly. The heavenly ghost divination palace's ancestors' expression darkened. Oh no, Lin Shun is in danger. This Hell Yama technique needs vitality to activate, and they actually fought to this extent. Who is the mastermind behind this? Oh, Lin Shun smiled mockingly. You seem to be very cool. Suddenly, Mr. Lin pretended to be mysterious and said, Do you know that there is a rule in this world? That is to never fight the most handsome one in the sacred boundary, or you will be punished by the heavens. Pa! With a snap of his fingers, Lin Shen activated his superimposed Super Chaos. Super Chaos innate skill has been triggered. A total of 11 statuses have been triggered. 4 targets have fallen into a super chaotic state. Duration, 30 seconds. Wong. Bang. 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 The holy chi in the 4-9 Shadows assassins' Saint Caverns exploded, almost injuring them severely. What the hell is this thing? Part of my holy chi is out of my control. My consciousness is in a mess. Is it this brat's doing? The 4 of them were shocked. Their blood, Saint Chi, and even their consciousness were in chaos. Chi, rumble. Before the first wave subsided, another wave appeared. The space around the 4 of them was filled with hellish grayish-white wind blades and tornadoes, or red lotus-like purgatory flames. The purgatory flames burned the space, breaking the crystal walls and transforming into fire dragons. Activated 2 high-level blue rank sure kill techniques. Targets locked. 4. Initiating bombardment. Hiss. The group of saints sucked in a breath of cold air. Beating up handsome guys would really be punished by the heavens? There was such a thing? Just like what that brat said. He has many tricks up his sleeves. Die for this seat. As long as we can complete the Een Sun of Heaven's cooperation, we will be able to obtain many low-grade, odd crystals. The moment the sure kill technique locked onto him, Heartbreak Red's hand seals changed. Wong. The 100 Yama phantoms shook together, bursting with terrifying saint-light sound waves. It was like a performance from hell, trying to crush Lin Chun. Heartbreak Red actually wanted to fight Lin Chun to the death. Lin Chen's battle-intense sword, and he smiled evilly. Try my plus 12 Ghost Phoenix Spear. Imperial Sky. Saint Chi was injected into the wheel-light, odd crystal again. Lin Chen held the spear and swung it across the sky. The spear tip shot out a golden rainbow that pierced through the sky and split into 5, like a circular light surging. Bang! 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 The sound waves exploded and tore open a space crack. The 100 Yama phantoms were cut in half, and half of them quickly dissipated. What? Heartbreak Red's expression changed. How did this brat's strength suddenly increase? He calculated the limit of Lin Chen's strength before using the secret technique. Even if part of his strength was affected by the super chaos, it was still enough to crush Lin Chen. Die for me. Lin Chen's eyes revealed a light that stirred the wind and clouds. He changed his blade and held Azure Moon in his hand. With a blade in hand, Lin Chen's domineering aura reached the sky. He injected all his Saint Chi into the 5 odd crystals. The saints were shocked. He was actually able to control the power of 5 odd crystals at the first level of the Saint realm without exhausting his Saint Chi. How strong was this brat's foundation? Is he really a first-time saint? Why is his Saint Chi so smooth and not inferior to the veteran saints? Rumor has it that when Lin Chun massacred the 14 saints on Qilin Island, he temporarily advanced to the saint realm. I'm afraid it has something to do with this trump card. He has experience controlling Saint Chi, and this is definitely not his first time fighting. Wait a minute. This blade, look at this blade. While the saints were discussing, a few veteran sword saints were shouting crazily, as if they were drunk. All of Lin Chen's doppelgangers attacked together. His sacred weapons were all strengthened to +12, and their power increased sharply. At this moment, all of the 9 shadow assassins were affected by their killing moves and super chaos state. Less than half of them could deal with Lin Chen's strength and Saint Chi. With the injection of Saint Chi, pure power exploded. Lin Chun suddenly waved his blade, and the azure moon slashed out with a blade that could overturn everything in history. The rapidly rotating aurora blade light cut through the space and crushed the spatial crystal walls. The momentum was like a blade that could split the universe. The charm of this blade was so brilliant that even the sword saints were amazed. In the next moment, the saints were shocked. Not good. The saints all activated their defenses in an instant. The blade light trembled slightly and split into 5, slashing at the Yama phantoms in all directions. The blade light swept across 3,000 miles and slashed hundreds of Yama phantoms. However, it wasn't over yet. Bang! The spinning Aurora Saber Chi that was hundreds of meters long suddenly exploded. The 5 rapidly rotating blade lights exploded into fragments that filled the sky. Thousands of Saint Radiance blade Chi shattered into exquisite and translucent jade fragments. They shone with a myriad of colors and turned into a hurricane. The entire heaven and earth that was shrouded in demonic Chi was instantly shrouded in 9 colored fragments. All the geniuses were stunned. So beautiful. The female geniuses let out heartfelt exclamations in their hearts at the same time. Was it beautiful? The saints couldn't help but sneer. Only the saints could deeply feel the sharpness that could penetrate everything. Lin Chen put away his blade and smiled slightly. There were gods in the primordial times whose tears left no trace. This blade is my farewell gift to all of you on your way to hell. Heartbreak Hong's pupil shrank. Chapter 11:27. Tens of thousands of blade energy fragments were like raindrops, hurricanes, whirlpools, storms, and the most beautiful and dazzling storms in the world. They fiercely attacked Heartbreak Red, who was enveloped by the sure kill technique. Bang, 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 bang. Like an unprecedented storm, the fragments of the saber energy struck the spatial position of the Heartbreak Red. The terrifying saber light's aftershocks destroyed the entire space. The earth-shattering explosion was like an apocalyptic disaster descending upon the world. The blade energy fragments, along with a corner of the sacred Burial Mountain range, were twisted into nothingness. The geniuses who had been shocked earlier all turned pale. The sharp blade energy fragments still shot out for hundreds of miles, forcing many saints to defend themselves and block the blade energy fragments. When the blade energy fragments dissipated, 9-color divine radiance floated down from the sky like snowflakes. There were only 6 tall youths left outside the sacred Burial Mountain range. The youth stood with his hand on his blade, and the 9-color divine radiance floated down from the sky like snowflakes, adorning his silver robe. The Saint Dragon was entrenched under his feet, and his doppelgangers were in different directions. He was like an overlord who had descended to the world, and no one could suppress his sharpness anymore. I actually shed tears. When many people came back to their senses, they found a line of tears at the corner of their eyes. The pupils of some saints shrank slightly. Dead. The 4 Saint Realm assassins of the 9 Shadows organization were completely annihilated. They died without a complete corpse. This blade is too perfect. What a powerful attack. It's like rain pouring down from the sky. The blade energy is boundless and has endless changes. When it reaches the peak, it explodes into fragments and twists the enemy. Its power doesn't decrease, but increases instead. This is an orange-gray blade technique, and it's not an ordinary incomplete orange-gray combat skill. Many sword saints and sword saints were either trembling with excitement or gasping in amazement. This blade couldn't be any more perfect. The four saints were in the chaotic state and in the range of the sure kill technique. Coupled with the doppelgangers delaying them, they didn't even have a chance to escape in the face of this flawless blade. Ha! As expected of the person that our mislikes. This brat's performance is a bit too shocking. Even this old man was scared stiff by him. He hasn't used his last trump card, and he can already kill four saints by himself. The two old men from the Purple Cloud King Valley laughed heartily. The 9 Shadows captains who were delaying the two old men had heavy expressions on their faces. 4 Second Heaven Saint Realm experts had died, and both of them had to suffer a heavy punishment. What a genius! Haha, our 9 Shadows loves to kill geniuses. The 9 Shadows captains chuckled sinisterly as they looked at Lin Chen's eyes. Although I don't know why you 9 Shadows are eyeing this brat. This old man will give you a piece of advice. This brat might be the future son-in-law of our Violet Cloud King Valley. Don't think too much about it. Once he enters the monstrous genius list, you can try to touch him. The two old saint of the 2 saints of the shadows of saint, the 2 captains' expressions were as gloomy as the sharp light in the darkness. Finally, I'm no longer that weak battle emperor. Lin Shun let out a long sigh as the light in his eyes grew even brighter. These 18 Saint Caverns were different from the other 18 Saint Caverns. Each Saint Caverns of the Saint Realm contained different amounts of Saint Chi. If a Saint Point of the first level could hold 10 Holy Chi, then each Saint Point of the second level could hold 20 Holy Chi or even higher. Lin Shun roughly estimated that the power of his Saint Chi was comparable to that of an ordinary Second Heaven True Saint with 14 Saint Points. In other words, Lin Chen's cultivation was at the late First Heaven True Saint Realm. He was in the mid-Second Heaven True Saint Realm. Coupled with the fact that the Tai Fuqian mantra had accumulated an extremely high amount of elemental attribute points, his cultivation base was comparable to his second-level Saint Realm expert with 15 Saint Points. With the addition of the power of the 5 odd crystals, the many half-orange-grade techniques that were forcefully upgraded to orange-grade combat skills, and the strengthening of the sacred weapon, Lin Chen's combat strength was comparable to an ordinary second-level perfect sage with 19 to 20 sacred points. As long as the other party wasn't a monstrous genius, there weren't many Second Heaven True Saints who could threaten Lin Shun. A person with 9 Saint Cauldrons had the combat power of 20 Saint Cauldrons? This was unthinkable anywhere in the sacred boundary. A First Heaven True Saint Realm expert was already so ridiculous. What would happen if Lin Shun opened 20 or 30 Saint Points in the future? I'm just laying the foundation now. With Tai Fuqian around, when I break through the 31st Saint Point and enter the 4th Heaven True Saint Realm, my combat strength will skyrocket. Lin Shin made up his mind and used his doppelganger to sweep across the battlefield. He collected all the attribute light balls and the 4 orange crystal treasure chests dropped by the 4 saints. System notification. Host has advanced to the True Saint Realm, activating the Heavenly Tao Attribute Picking System 7. 0 upgrade requirement. Please check the system for more details. When the system screen popped up, Lin Shun didn't even have time to check the system. Rumble. A ray of azure, holy light descended from the sky. More than half of the demonic chi in the air was suddenly dispersed. This was an unprecedented scene. Luo Yao, Er's demonic chi could even cause heaven and earth to wither. Right now, there is actually an overflowing sense of vitality. Another expert has arrived. This one is stronger than any of the previous ones. Lin Chen's heart trembled. Bang, bang, bang. After the ray of holy light descended, A terrifying aura rose from the battlefield in the distance. Demonic chi filled the sky, and holy light exploded. A moment later, a beautiful figure appeared beside Lin Shun. Her aura was weak. It was Luo Yao. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Numerous true saints appeared and surrounded Lin Shun, Luo Yao and the others. Among the 15 true saints, one of them was a fourth heaven true saint who had lost his right arm. It was a ghastly sight. The remnant aura of the devil blade lingered on his arm. In order to delay Luo Yao they had paid a heavy price. The person in the lead had his hands behind his back. He had a handsome face and looked like he was in his mid-20s. His eyes were as blue as the ocean, and there was a hint of vicissitudes between his brows. His blue robes fluttered in the wind, and the holy chi he emitted made Lin Chen's hair stand on end. This old fellow's aura is so terrifying. He's even stronger than the 2 elders from the Purple Cloud King Valley and the 2 true saints from before. He might be a super expert who has opened 49 or even 50 saint points. Lin Chen's heart sank. Among the group of true saints, a small portion of the forces saw the newcomer clearly. It's actually Gu Wanquan from the Southern Mountain Range. That old fellow has also come out of seclusion. It's said that he opened 49 saint points 2 million years ago and stepped into the late 5th heaven true saint realm. Gu Chantian and the Great Sun Saint Monarch are both in the early 5th heaven true saint realm with 43 saint points. With another late 5th heaven true saint realm expert, I'm afraid Lin Shun and the devil girl won't be able to escape. The moment Gu Wanquan arrived, the situation changed instantly. Originally, the 14 true saints were barely able to delay Luo Yao. However, the moment Gu Wanquan arrived, Luo Yao was at a disadvantage. Your Excellency Gu Wanquan, why are you the only one here? Gu Chantian asked through voice transmission. Gu Wanquan looked at him calmly and replied, "Do you think those old fellows have nothing to do? Some of them are still in seclusion in secret realms. Some of them are still roaming the dangerous regions of the Southern Mountain Range. Some of them are still in seclusion. How can they rush over in such a short time? However, it's fine. This old man alone is enough." That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.